I'ma get it, you know I be on the way. Yeah. You know I be on the way. Man on a mission, I'ma get it, you know I be on the way. Yeah, it's all hard, ain't no fear here. You ain't giving this at all, you steer clear. Never beat, I've been down and I reappear. You got some money on the line, you better put it here. Rolling in and doing that work. Check priorities, I'm doing that first. Checks big and I'm sure that hurts, but it's checkmate, we ain't selling short, know the work. Ain't nowhere to hide, you ain't gotta see me come and keep me on your mind, cause I be on the way. Yeah. You know I be on the way. Man on a mission, I'ma get it, you know I be on the way. Yeah, man we coming for them bags that they said I couldn't have, get the team. I got a vision for the things you ain't believe. And here's the motto, hard work, this over everything. It's that comeback. I'm calling plays, hit the pass, then the run back. Yeah, I'm far ahead and gotta run laps. But we ain't letting up, we never done that. Ain't nowhere to hide, you ain't gotta see me come and keep me on your mind, cause I be on the way. Yeah. You know I be on the way. I'ma get it, you know I be on the way. Yeah, I'm on the way. On the way. Yeah, on the way. I'm on the way. I'm on the way.
Wait, stand up. It's going to be really difficult to make this crossing here. Has to hit the deck, doesn't go down fully, but there he goes.
Oh, they send him in through the front, trying to be the tripwire too. They've all got to push him towards the house.
A new phase and a new opportunity for all of these teams to fight back against the tyranny of MADBULLS, Titans, Gladiators, all of those excellent teams at the top here. But we did yesterday have some contenders rise through the ranks. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's day number 2 here of Phase 3 as I've got Maxman alongside me, my partner in crime, to figure everything out. What do you think, Max?
Oh yeah, feeling fantastic. Yeah, there's a phase of comebacks here happening, Kalaris. It's a good time. But yeah, as you said, there were so many teams that were starting to initiate some comebacks. But we still have some teams at the top that have remained, they're gotta say, pretty consistent. You got some contenders, MADBULLS, Titans, Gladiators. I heard they're pretty good. No, so yeah, they're a decent start to the phase. Yeah.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good. Let's take a look at the socials. Here for everything that is going down for PMPL EU Fall, we have got yourselves the hashtag PMPL EU. Make sure to use that over at TikTok, over at YouTube, over at Twitch, over on Instagram as well, because bear in mind, we still have Le Competition going on for Maxman over on Instagram.
Yeah, and actually the deadline has been pushed back. I'm sorry, guys, it's been pushed back a little bit. But that means you have more time to enter, and we're still going to have the same amount of skins, so you can choose which of the skins you want. There's only now 2 shark cover covers because I gave it to the other casters. They all wanted it, so I had to give it away.
Oh.
I know you wanted it, Kalara, so we sent it. No.
Wait, what?
You've been asking all day. He said, I want that shark cover, Max, so give it.
I don't know where this code is. What are you talking about? Anyway, yeah, insider trading going on here at PMPL EU. But anyway, let's talk about everything that's going on here today. We've got 5 maps coming at you alongside a TDM as well, but we'll be starting things off with Sanhok, later on going over to the jungle again. But we have a double helping of Erangel with just 1 helping of the Dusty Dunes today on Miramar. So maybe a bit of a shorter day because Sanhok doesn't take as long, Max.
Yeah, hopefully the Sanhok madness is not going to be as mad as yesterday on that trifecta circle. It was a bit tough, but you know, Gladiators finally won a Northwestern Island finish, so that was great to see from them. But otherwise, we had some other teams contending, and it was almost the No Mercy Warriors chicken dinner. So we've seen some teams that maybe could bring up some good surprises here in this third phase. I'm really hyped to see how things are going to go down today. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think actually in terms of No Mercy Warriors, this might be their best start ever when it comes to the overall rankings. Let's take a look at the points that have come in so far here for these teams as, okay, yeah, they might not be on the first page just yet. However, there is the potential that is shaken up today. But what isn't shaking up, Max, is that as much as those contenders did pretty well yesterday, it's still MADBULLS, Titans, Gladiators, MUERTE up at the top here as well. So the usual suspects are ruling the roost, but for how long? Probably
yeah. And the thing is, at this point too, because of the PMGC race, Major Pride's got to be very careful to not remain too low on this first page. They got to be at the top. They need to be next to MADBULLS, need to be next to Gladiators, because MADBULLS, as we remember in phase 1, closed that gap significantly, and Gladiators are competing also for that PMGC position. So Major Pride, it's not a massive, like, no loss currently in that first day. It can happen to be a bit behind, but they need to start getting wins on board. Because this third phase is going to be do or die for those top 3, top 4 teams for PMGC.
No, for sure. As we take a look down here towards 9th, 10th, 11th, all of our teams that actually did themselves a pretty decent service yesterday. Look at VULGAR, boys. 22 elims on the day yesterday, Max. That was whoo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah, that was that one big Erangel in particular. We'll have the chance to talk a bit more about VULGAR boys in particular, but really good presence. They're trying to change things up, which we can appreciate from a team when they try and change it towards the end of a tournament. Though one team that I'm a bit surprised to see them so low. I mean, 2 teams is Dagestan 77, but mainly KONINA Power. 14 points on the day. Not the start you would really like to have entering into phase 3. They had a good start in phase 2 out of phase 1. But yeah, phase 3, one bad day can happen, so I expect to see a bit of a comeback from the KONINA boys.
Yeah. I mean, NEXUS and Dagestan as well. 0 placement points, but 15 and 12 elim points, respectively, on either side here, which is ridiculous, to be honest with you. But let's take a look at who was really ridiculous in our top 5 players here so far. Yesterday, Malloy, let's be real, kind of popped off a 10 elim game for him for number 1. Even though he didn't take the MVP, it was Zerich, I believe, for that spot because, well, look at the average survival time, etc.
Yeah, I mean, Zerich is always going to be the top survivor in the games. I just can't do much against against that. Though, we've seen your typical big players like MADBULLS, Erich, IC, Tulika. Good to see a new face here on the leaderboards. It's 077 from Esports that have had also really good start in this phase, just like No Mercy Warriors, even though they weren't on the first page. But yeah, so I'm hoping that we're going to see the success of these new contenders transition into the future days, because like of course it brings a lot of changes in how drops and teams rotate, but it's still going to be tough because the competition at the top is just so close, and it's hard to make a spot if you're not one of the top 5 big teams in this lobby.
Yeah. Zero for sure has got his eyes on the prize to get things going. But let's take a look here at VULGAR boys. As you mentioned before, we're going to talk about them and dive into their stats a little bit, because let's be real, it was a much better start from them. It felt like they had a bit more of an aggressive flair about them yesterday with a 10 elim game and an 8 elim game. If they keep doing that, they could easily get themselves towards that Livet game and then maybe do a little bit more in the final.
Exactly. I mean, I love what they were doing yesterday, willing to take fights. They even won head-to-head 4v4 against KONINA Power, which is a very aggressive team, really talented when it comes to those head-on-head fights. And the thing is, of course, their survival time does get reduced a bit, Kalaris, which you would expect if a team is willing to be more aggressive. They're taking more risks. But overall, with this point system, if it was in the past where you would get 15 points or 20 points per chicken dinner and more placement points in the top 3, then maybe this wouldn't be a smart play. But right now, the elimination points are so important. We need to see a change of pace. And this is what VULGAR boys are trying to do, playing with also a lot more DBS, it seems. I have still one big request, though. I want to see more from the rest of the team, not just Foopsman. Like Pylads, I want to see Tresley be up there. Right now, Foopsman is the one leading the charge. We had some good moments from Dakimi too, but the team as a whole needs to start playing a lot more in sync. And if they do so, with that change of pace, I'd be happy to see if they can continue that success in this phase.
Yeah, you were watching that eventually they were shut down on the east side of Military Island just there. Eventually, of course, by MADBULLS. Who else is it going to be? But a lot of those fights that they were taking on those edge play scenarios where they were kind of exploiting the other team's urgency about trying to get to the circle actually worked out really well. I'm hoping that maybe we see some of the kind of those situations again, because you don't always have to be a central team. You don't have to just try and bomb it for a compound and hope for the best. Sometimes those edge plays, when you're getting a lot of eliminations, you might not win the game, but it might be enough to just keep those average points up. And I would like to see that, because it did show some strength yesterday.
Yeah, and actually with that change of mentality, I would love to see them, just like we saw in Phase 1 and Phase 2 happen a few times, where they got a central position, a god compound, and they just have the circle shift onto them. I want to know now, would they be able to hold it like really dominantly, really aggressively? If they do so, then I think that's the big change of pace we wanted to see from this roster of VULGAR boys. So yeah, good change, and I'm hoping it's going to continue, and they're going to try and adapt their more aggressive playstyle further.
We'll see. We'll see. Let's take a look at TUNA as well here, because to be honest with you, they also stepped up. Call the police. It's 9-11 damage here for them on the day. And I mean, they started things off brilliantly, right, Max? They kind of really shook things up to start off Phase 3.
Yeah, able to pinch down onto Titan at one point as Major Pride were pushing in, and they got himself access to a really strong position. I still wanted them to start taking a bit more of a wider spread, but their position was so strong that you didn't really have to do too much in that position on the first Erangel of the day. Just about same survival time overall, but yeah, the TUNA Esports is a roster that we've seen these individual players, what they could do back in spring. Now this roster is looking really strong. It's just outside of that one game, there wasn't much to show for. They got themselves, what was that chicken dinner with 8 eliminations, then an 8th of 13th position. They got a 4th at the end of the day, which was fantastic. But it's just those bad games, we need to see like at least a few eliminations come on board if they want to be able to push up towards the first page, because I feel like this is a team that could be up there, especially when you're looking at Obito doing really well recently, and Purple, which is a very experienced player back in the CIS region and with VIRTUS.PRO before. So yeah, just good improvements, and Obito in particular, I feel like has been the standout player for me during Phase 2 and Phase 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, yes, we saw Zero able to put up some numbers yesterday as well, but it's not quite been as flashy for him across the entirety of the tournament, right, as we take a look at some of these moments from here. And you can see on Sanhok as well, they were able to control some high ground pretty decently against these teams in the distance. As long Sanhok is the perfect place for those long-range AR sprays, right? Because you're never going to be in a situation where you are always like 400 meters away from your target, and then, you know, beyond that, it's kind of beyond the render distance. You're always in those 150, 200 meter range kind of fights, or even shorter than that, and then from there you're able to really capitalize on those AR sprays, and that's what we saw here from Zero. But let's focus on the Jackie conglomerate, aka VIRTUS.PRO here, because I was about to say they also had a step up, but they've had some moments of brilliance in the previous phases as well. Let's not kind of discredit them on that. But yesterday, getting themselves what I think was 2 back-to-back really good games, even though the last game was the 7th place, they still had 9 elims during it, Max.
Exactly. Eliminations are just so important, Kalaris, at this point.
Yeah.
And when you get almost a 6 average elimination per game, that is a really strong average to have for yourself. And almost 1.3k average damage is such an impressive leap forward in the right direction for VIRTUS.PRO after what they've been able to pull off in Phase 1 and Phase 2. So I feel especially one thing that they're really good at is their map awareness in late game finishes. I'm going to have a cheeky illustration in just a bit to really break down what's been happening with them. But this one game on Erangel in the fields finish near Gadka, really impressive how they were just able to understand the situation so quickly, come up with a game plan, and then execute that game plan, especially this push on Alpha Team that we mentioned multiple times yesterday, Kalaris, was so pivotal for them to have a chance to win, which at the end ended up becoming that chicken dinner for them.
This field is deceptive because once that west side hill is pushed out of the circle, there's actually quite a few little dips, and not dips, but kind of changes in the terrain enough for you to then coexist with other teams in this location, right? So they understood their timing when they were able to move into kind of the south and then eventually wrap around on the east side of this circle here once that west side hill had been eliminated from play. So good timing, I think, from VIRTUS.PRO here. Max has, I believe you've got something to show us regarding this.
Exactly. I just want to break down exactly how good their map awareness was at the late game finish. So right now we're back in this position where you had 3 teams alive. You had KONINA Power, VIRTUS.PRO with a pretty nice spread in the southern eastern edge, and Alpha Team that had a very strong 2-2 split at this time. And this is part of the kind of terrain change you were mentioning. There's a little bit of a slope which Ashipa and Tenshik can play, so they're going to be hidden from your KONINA Powers, hidden away from your VIRTUS.PRO. Well, Alpha Team have the 2-2 split at that slope, and also 2 players inside the building. I think we had one of the players playing the rooftop, which is great. In a position like this, having the rooftop angle is so strong to apply pressure, gather information on where the other teams are. So Alpha Team currently in a great position. So looking at VIRTUS.PRO, they're taking a fight versus KONINA Power. They eliminate KONINA Power relatively quickly. And one thing I really enjoyed in this game is you can see how they were aware of Alpha Team's position. They understood because there is a player, Mandarin, playing the rooftop. This is a position that gathers information on pretty much Ashipa's position, Tenshik's position, Reflex. So they know at this point, okay, there's no solo in the grass. This is a fully fledged 4-man team we're playing up against. Let's try and find where the team currently is going to be split, crash as a squad on that split, and because of that, punish them being so widely spread in the late game finish. So going to move a bit forward here. They see Reflect going a little bit to the eastern side. Tenshik also split away, so they see an opportunity to crash onto Ashipa, which Reflect too is does have to get some credit. He understood that, but they crash where it's at the weakest. Alpha Team try and respond, but unfortunately the nades, the utility available for VIRTUS.PRO at the time, was so strong that they couldn't put up really a fight versus VIRTUS.PRO. And Mandarin, from a distance, couldn't really bring too much assistance. And then they just start tearing through the players one by one. So VIRTUS.PRO, this is one of, I would say, their best games this entire tournament so far, Kalaris. And I want to see more of this where they just punish these splits from teams against them to get those wins. So very impressive, because I think we all expected Alpha Team to come out on top with an easy win, but VIRTUS.PRO just turned it around so quickly.
Yeah, it's all good if Mandarin hits his shots from that roof side on the kind of a defensive angle against where they are on that west side, but he doesn't, firstly. And then from crate to crate where that is, again, it's kind of this like little hill, this little bump. So as soon as you see that crash coming along, as you say, Reflector reacted really well, but by the time you are starting to get shots on vehicles coming over that hill, it's kind of too late. You've got to be very accurate and very swift to be able to punish a move like that from VIRTUS.PRO. So really cool to see that kind of play coming out from them on a field like this, where again, generally we say it's featureless, it's terrainless, but it's not actually here with these small dips and dives here that the teams are able to take, Max.
Yeah, and that's the mark of a really good team to me, is teams that are able to just know the very small intricacies of terrain like this, you would count as like featureless, as you said, and be able to use it. I think we've seen this with MADBULLS many times where it's just a flat terrain, but they know there's like one little pile of dirt or like one small dip that they can play. I feel like next to the gas station west of Yasnaya Bridge that they were able to play once. So really good understanding of the terrain from both teams, really, Alpha Team and VIRTUS.PRO. But yeah, VP, we always knew this team had potential, so it's good to see that actually rewarded with a win and another good game after that. What was it, 7th place was 9 elims, so good presence from the guys.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll see if they can kind of continue that on today. That's not to say, though, the big dogs are invisible here throughout the start of Phase 3. They obviously blasted still. We just kind of wanted to focus on some of these teams that had a little bit more gusto about them coming into the phase compared to previous phases, right, Max? Because it's easy for us to just sit here and be like, MADBULLS are really good, Gladiators are really good. But it was really cool to see TUNA, VULGAR, to a degree, VIRTUS.PRO, even though we've talked about them ad nauseum before, you know, do well here in this first day.
Actually, I'm going to go against that now, and I'm going to talk about one of the good teams.
That's fine.
I still had a point I wanted to make. On Titan in particular, they got 3 podium finishes yesterday, and I feel like one big piece of criticism, Kalaris, we had for them was eliminations. All good. They know how to frag out with this team. Clearly, there's no questions asked about that. It's just their survival time was relatively low. If you take all of their stats of Phase 1, Phase 2 combined, their average survival time was very low. It was about 15 minutes and 29 seconds. Now, entering in Phase 3, their survival time has increased significantly to just over 18 minutes. So, like, they're surviving way long in the games, which means more opportunities to get eliminations, which right now results in them being 2nd place. So, good changes from Titan, and I would like to see a win coming out on board. Maybe today. Sure. I'd like to see it.
I think even more could have happened on that Sanhok as well yesterday. I do think that there was a moment where Old Boy, again, you know, when we look to the highlights, may have disconnected, or I'm not sure how it worked out. But regardless, the position that they had gave them an opportunity to potentially even do more with that. Here's the numbers from yesterday, as Icy, as always. Look at this guy, man. He's just
cracked. As always.
How is he this good always? Always.
Yeah, he's been playing for years before being even able to play competitive in the first place, and he's always been just a goated player in Europe. So, and I feel like it's good that he's been able to play in Africa. It's a cool, different perspective, and playing with Old Boy. You can't ask for like better experience. This guy has just been playing at every level of PUBG Mobile Esport, and when you just have him just giving all of his knowledge over to play like Icy, he becomes so much more dangerous. So I'm telling you, this is just the start of the Icy arc, where I'm hoping to see him go in PMGC, because Icy and PMGC would be a really fun show to see.
Yeah, something like... I can't think of any anime references now. I can't be bothered. They would all be wasted, I suppose.
It's the post-time skip, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, whatever that means. No, you're right. I mean, again, this kid is a prodigy, right? Like, watching him play the way he is playing, and then going and stacking up against the likes of MADBULLS, Major Pride, Gladiators, looking excellent whilst doing it. It's ridiculous. But anyway, it is time here to get into our games. Before we do that, a huge thank you to Monster for joining us here for PMPL EU Fall. They're awesome. He's got the white Monster. Oh, yeah. He's all over the place. He's left, he's right. He's doing it all. All right, we've got ourselves our casters. They're there, left and right. They're doing it all as well. It's Jackie and Blank bringing you the games.
That was nice. That was a good way to get us ready. Kalaris he's in the mood for it. You can see he's amped up, he's fired up, he's left and right combined. He's omnidirectional, Blank. That's why we need him. But we are here, and hopefully we'll be on the right direction for some good games today.
I think we are. Look, with Kalaris all over the place, you know, he's got upwards, he's got downwards covered as well. It's just nowhere he's not looking, nowhere he's not paying attention. And you're going to have to be like that at home as well, guys. You have to pay attention to every little minute detail that's going on. I'm just joking. We're going to cover it all for you anyway. Me and Jackie, we have you here. But we're heading over to Sanhok straight away. First map, nice quick map. We saw our very first Northwest Island finish win for Gladiators in quite some time. Considering it's a case of you get that Northwest Island, realistically you should be getting good placing. Gladiators seem to drop the ball on that quite a few times, so it's nice to see them finally convert on that one. I think it was a bit more of a slower play style. We kind of broke it down a little bit with them playing more on the island itself towards that hillside rather than taking that 2-2 split. So there's definitely adjustments going on for Gladiators at the moment.
The kings of the tropical island, potentially. But mate, I tell you what, I always enjoy these days when we get a nice bit of Sanhok to start the day and towards the end to round out the day. I think this is where we get some interesting games. You never quite know where it's going to go when you end up in the jungle. That's what it feels like in recent times. We've had some very interesting stories we've been developing as well, with the Titan and KASIK clash that always, without fail, seems to go on. So we can check in with that as we have both teams in the lobby today. So the groups have worked out for that one as well. Oh, blank. I love the double Sanhok days, mate. These are good fun.
Look, man.
It's happening already, Blank. Look at Titan. Oh, no.
See,
oh, no.
It's the good thing. It's the good thing. Look, me and you, we love the Sanhok days. We're all about it. Already the Nameless, Unicorns love, they're going off. We saw this happen a couple of weeks back, and it was, in fact, TUNA who's able to take him down. Abito is just spraying like a madman with the M249.
God, Abito's woken up. This man's in the lobby ready to play some zombies or something. He's just spraying like it's horde mode, but just rips his way through everyone. Unfortunately, he's still got to recover the situation at hand, and he's basically just one man. Has a bit of backup from Noshi if he can get into an angle to support him. Unicorns of Love have been able to slow down the pace of this one a bit. Rollkiss and Co still alive, cleaning up the knocked players. Bit damage done, sure, but in reality, unless they can flush out the last few players, TUNA, they could be popped into a can quite quickly on this one.
Yeah, not ideal, not ideal. No, she's just trying to spray around the corner, stop CJ from hitting that first aid kit at least. He's just stimming up now instead. MacFins with the M249. What matters? Abito comes through the UMP. We'll drop him. Now just one player remained on top side. CJ will be finished off by Noshi, leaving TUNA with 2. But a nice juicy 4 eliminations as well. We also saw this popping off. The old stubborn drop. We got KASIK as well as Titans here. Titans seem to be winning right now. However, we have seen this where Titans will have 4 versus 2. They'll end up losing 2 players, and everyone's very sad. And Titans go crying out of this lobby.
But if you want something that won't make you cry, head over to our social media pages, of course. The links on screen now. Esports, PUBG, EU, easy stuff. And of course, we'll continue on with what's going on here. Like Blank saying, there's never any winners. It just hurts me. It gives me a weird feeling in my stomach. Oh no, this is how it started as well. So if you missed this bit, obviously when we were checking in on the other fight that was going down with Unicorns of Love and TUNA, it seems like the scrap really did kick off before we even had an opportunity to get into the game basically on this one. We've been setting the stage for the KASIK team, Titan, I don't even know what we'd call it at this point. It's not like, you know, a dance of death. It's been going on far too many times. This is, what's it called? A tradition. This would be a tradition now, Blank. You know, this is like their Christmas. They've done this every year for like 5 years. The 2 families of Titan and KASIK team, you know,
KASIK
they come
team.
and link up
I got
every
you.
Christmas.
Yeah.
They have their nice little traditions. They put their presents out, shoot one another.
Oh boy, you hate Trofka though. No, but it's tradition. We've got to go. We've got to get it done.
We got to go again. Really? We've gone every drop. Yeah, I know, but we've got to.
We've got to do.
Brussels sprouts.
I hate it.
This isn't traditional. Trofka, it's fine.
Trofka's mega upset.
Yeah, no, he doesn't like Brussels sprouts. There's Trofka.
No, it's his least favourite dish that is served at the traditional pie nan drop. You'd expect there to be pies there. No, Brussels. It's just unfortunate.
Pie nan. That's like the hidden lore. You can find a small bit of paper on the floor, and if you read it, it says that, you know, they've been fighting for the past 10 years just over the fact that a Trofka stole all the pies.
What, the Trofka man? What a guy.
Trofka man came down the chimney. He took all the pies. I don't know where we're going with this. It's too elaborate. It's too spicy in the morning.
Much.
It
too
is.
much.
Yeah.
We're getting back on board though. VIRTUS.PRO, your boys, also feeling the brunt of the pain at the moment. Effect comes through. This guy's actually been really good. I actually been really liking what Effect's been doing through for Major Pride, because obviously we saw Nomi, original Gumbe. He kind of fell off a little bit. Still doing extremely well, but Effect has certainly brought things back up to speed with the one pump action there over towards Beck. That's got to feel bad.
Oh, mate.
breaking down the doors as well. He's a nuisance.
Carpenter, isn't he? He's a nightmare. Turns up, shoots you in the face, breaks your door, leaves you with a draft rolling in. Can't stop that. You'd have to build a new door. And they've not got enough wood, so what can they do in a situation like this? Well, PRO, he's burning. He's already lit up by the Molotov. He's at least able to get a bit further back. Nomi still wasting utility as well onto the other building, so at least that'll soak up some of the nades that VP have been able to accumulate early on. Looking really green around the gills though for VP. This is probably worst case Ontario for them. You could be saved somewhat by the attention being drawn here by Gladiators. Blow for blow, but Tixi always good for the distance frags, isn't he?
I mean, respect for Nomi for spotting that. I mean, I would not have seen that in a million years. And actually hit some decent shots towards him. But Tixi has been feeling it a little bit at the moment, you know, hitting some really dirty little shots over towards this map. Really good plays from yesterday. Another Northwest Island potential finish here. It's another Gladiators win. We'll wait and see. I'd love to see it again. Even just a high placing would be good for Gladiators. You know, getting it back on board where people stop thinking Gladiators just aren't a Sanhok team. Because they do need to start learning to play Sanhok better. Like I said yesterday, it's a third of the map pool. If Gladiators can't play this map but perform very well on the others, you're constantly stunting your momentum because you're playing this map so often. Titans, this is aggressive. Not sure I enjoyed this, but it's worked out so far. Got the first initial knock, and there's players coming in with Foopsman just dashing, sprinting.
Here he is. Lord Foops. He's arrived on the scene. What's in store? Will it be something obscene, though? Tries to throw the nade with the timing to catch both of them. Havlik still down on his last legs, but Icy, the main man from Titan that can be so smooth in these sort of situations, just toying with Foops. Again, an exchange of damage. Foops man dives out the window playing with the SMG, so he's got a nice amount of mobility to work with on this one, whereas Icy just tucks in now, realizing time's tight if he wants to go for the revive. Both of them making the same play as Foops man also plays medic to get his teammate in the Vulgar Boys backstanding.
Yeah, getting Nake back up again. MADBULLS are also instigating onto this fight. Icy and Havlik both down to the MADBULLS. Robs tries to body block as best as possible, but Foopsman comes through. Luckily, Robs hits the shots of his lifetime. Look how low he is as well. That's under a massive amount of pressure down towards this Northwest Island. Nake now has to come through. He's got to make a big play. Got to strike like a snake himself. Doesn't hit the shot. What's that?
Ooh, that feels really quite unfortunate for him. It felt like he was on target and lined up for potentially a bit of a double pump even, as they were both so close together with the spacing. But he's rolled the dice blank. It's come up with a 1. Critical fail on that. He's got nothing for it, so Titan take him out. And that was an awkward one. A lot of small intricacies in that fight that felt like potentially it should have gone in Vulgar Boy's favor, actually. But Titan, clearly saved by some sort of divine intervention a few times through that one.
Yeah.
Walk away still alive.
Yeah, someone's watching out for him. We don't know who, but they've got a Guardian Angel there. I mean, Robs kind of was the Guardian Angel. Really nice play from him. The fact that he was able to take down Foops as well on the barest amount of life, it's pretty crazy. I think Meku's pretty upset he wasn't able to get Fleek there. But again, good positioning from Fleek. You play on top of that rock, you can easily just slide back off the side of it, out of range and in cover. So really good stuff there. I mean, if Gladiators have been able to take down at least one player here from MADBULLS, you know, their descent would be a lot easier. Considering now the circle, I don't know if you guys saw it on the screens, but it has centered between the river, right, towards Trifecta. So it's not really determined to be a Northwest Island finish or over towards the eastern side on Bootcamp, which does make this one of the most awkward circles in the game come stage 2.
Already though, Sanhok delivering in the manner that we expected to. Very scrappy, very aggressive early game from actually quite a lot of our top squads today. This is one of the fights that could be somewhat defining as well, as you've got Gladiators with already Kitsune taken out of the mix, kind of stuck in the middle of a gulch here, being shot at from either side with MADBULLS looking to try and deal damage. He loves these fights though. It's one of those where he's just sort of danced his way out. It's one of those where normally you tune in like anyone else's POV from that angle and you're already thinking it's over, you know, he's not going to do anything. Whenever it's Zerich, dude, I don't know why. You just have so much more respect for him to be able to hit those.
Yeah, I mean, Zerich seems like a guy that's got too much energy, right? That's how I see him. I mean, in that play, like, I'm peeking the same angle. I'm going to just lean on the left side. Zerich is like, I'm leaning left. I'm leaning right. I'm leaning left. I'm leaning left again. Oh, and now I'm running. I'm back running the other way, and I'm in the compound. And if I was Mekio, I'd be pretty upset with that situation because that is very difficult to deal with. And you're like, come on, man. We get you're a good team, but you don't have to put so much effort in the morning. It's unbelievable.
You're there trying to hold the angle, thinking he'll just peek me. Meanwhile, Zerich has picked up the talisman of Golden Retriever, activated it. He's transformed into a Golden Retriever. And he's all over the shop. He's moving left, he's bobbing. Yeah, he's on your lap. He's off your lap. You're like, what's going on? Hello? Hi there.
I'm alive.
Good to meet you. Pet him on the head.
Yeah, that's good.
And then he shot you. He's wiped your whole team. You don't know what's going on. You're confused.
Why is
he doesn't even have opposable thumbs blank.
How is he using the trigger?
What's happening?
Doesn't make any sense.
How does he reload?
Just got a very...
Reload.
I'm not going to continue on that. Anyway, like you said, come on. Let it go. Let it go. It's fine. I feel the pain from it. Gladiators, though, they have to make a quick... Wow, this is one a hell of a quick swing. I think that I'm kind of upset we didn't pick this up on the screen, but they just zoomed in from the northwest side, just straight across the bridge into position. Is Tixie down there? I don't think he is. So they do have 3 players still up. And, you know, all things considered, from playing on that northwest island, they're trying to confirm to the hillside. If it doesn't work out on the hillside, then it's most likely GG for them. However, they just pull out this new play, which is just an instant send over the bridge into a compound. And yeah, well done. Really, really well done from Gladiators. Yes, they lose a player, but this is like a likely situation where they should have probably lost all 4 on a cross. So I like that play from Gladiators. Sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and be like, we have to make a fast rotate. It'll either work or it won't. We could go for the slow play across the shallow areas of the river. But that's just going to be a slow death, right? You don't want that. That's not the way you want to play the game. It's likely you're going to go out. You're banking on trying to get like a top 8, but why go for a top 8 when you could probably get a top 5 from this spot?
I think that's the beauty of what we've seen grow for Gladiators so much over the past few play days specifically as well, right? Is the way now you see them playing consistently not playing not to lose, but playing to win in these sort of situations, right? Yeah. You're putting yourself with your best foot forward. You're taking the risks that you know could pay off in the longevity of these sort of games, rather than thinking more so, oh, you know, what's a smart play not to lose. So definitely looks good. The confidence is better from them. The way that they're being able to poise looks an awful lot better. This fight that's been going in the background hasn't looked too great, though. If you're a fan of the Nameless, it's been very uncomfortable for them for the most part. I mean, Madagod's basically just been eating nades and can sustain this for as long as he can keep topping himself back up. The answer to that question was about now. Gets shot in the side, dropped, taken out by Shifu. So Dagestan able to third party onto that one from quite far back, actually. A nice range shot there from Shifu to knock the man and steal it from under the noses of MADBULLS. MADBULLS that are slowly pushing down and applying pressure. Most of the Nameless quite fragmented now as well. It's only 2 of them remain with I Hate Most and Beast left alive.
Yeah, they had struggled from the northeast side getting towards this position. I think they've done okay to get to this point. This is a KONINA power win, if ever I saw one. This team, for some reason, they get the circle, Sanhok, towards stage 4. That's it, GG. They just win the game. I don't know what it is about this team, but they do love their Sanhok, especially when the circle. Some of their rotations aren't great when they don't have the circle at this point. But I think this is a KONINA power win. I'm fairly confident.
Hey, they've been looking better and better each day when we see them play. You know, it feels like KONINA Power have really started to ramp up. I was trying to think of what the equivalent of increasing speeds on a horse is. They're not really going up gears. Maybe just putting down more hooves. Their hooves have been coming in at an increased speed, Blank. And that's what's been looking good for them.
He shifted into second hoof. This is crazy.
See, exactly, that's what I mean. He's got his new horseshoes on, like they're ready. You know, maybe that's what it was. KONINA Power's got new horseshoes, and they're lucky.
Yeah, they're rocking the silver horseshoe right now. They're looking good. They're trying to clear out their north side. This is smart. They realize that one direction they're going to suffer from in the late game is probably teams like crawling up throughout the coastal side on the western edge, which does make things a little bit difficult. Gladiators are still trying to make their way in, but playing uphill towards KONINA Power, slightly difficult. I am kind of concerned by the fact that Major Pride has been able to get in so freely, and as I say that, Nomi will take a knock, so it does look like there is some players looking their way. Agori takes quite the dangerous peek, just like, you know, staring at him. I feel like maybe you should also press the trigger at the same time.
Ooh. He's giving him a bit of space to work with, lulling Meku into a false sense of security here as he closes the gap. But the problem is he just charges down, tries to get a closer angle himself, sprayed on by Meku. So KONINA Power somewhat fragmented now, as that was Becker that went in for the close engagement. Yeah, I don't know, this is already looking a little bit iffy. They've given so much space to Meku, and he just looks confident in a situation like this. At least Offhaze trades back onto one of the Gladiators, but this is going from bad to worse the longer it goes on, Blank.
I think the saving grace here right now of KONINA Power is the fact that Gladiators still have to push in towards them. Meku has done an unbelievable job to get towards this position, just running up all the time. Things started to go downhill as soon as Becker thought to get a bit too over-aggressive here up towards the rock side, and he should be able to maybe confirm it. No ops to try and take hits over towards the rest of the players, and Offhaze and Palucci does get a little bit of tag damage through. Meku still furthest up here, and he's making his way out. No one's taking shots at him. He's up the rock. Becker's most likely going to die now. Finally gets him. Someone has to get to Becker at this instant.
Ooh, I feel like Palucci could have gone for the commit on that one. Little bit too slow on the decision-making. Probably didn't want to run the risk of going down on a 1-for-1 trade with how low his teammate was and how little time you had to commit to that. So they actually do just let him expire, basically. So KONINA Power down a man on that one then for good. Unable to reset and get him back on his feet from the fight. Kind of crazy, actually. It goes to show just the sheer strength for the Gladiators right now, that effectively one man can cause so many problems for an entire team there. Bit of a fragment as well for KP with the way they've split off here, leaving Offhaze relatively far behind from the rest of the squad that have already started to make their move down. So Offhaze might be a bit trapped. They know about his location as well, and Tixie's coming in to clean up. Tixie doesn't miss on these, and he hits it. Easy one pump. Shuts him down. Oh, KONINA Power, they've just been absolutely overthrown. They've eaten nades from SBG as well. And they're gone. Okay, the horseshoes have come off.
Okay. I'm fairly confident Major Pride is going to win this game right now because, look, they're a team that does really well from the outside edge. You've got 4 players, typically on Sanhok, fantastic team. I don't know what happened with KONINA Power there. I think it's a case of just the fact that Becker pushes down the hill. Like, eventually, Gladiator's going to have to peek into you. You can wait for the next circle. If it heads down south, you don't have to peek over that ridge side. The Becker really is that first domino that toppled the rest of the Jenga tower, right? We're playing 2 games at once, that's fine. That's how it felt. It felt hectic. It felt nightmarish. Now, Major Pride up towards this northern edge, they can start to take control of this map. The only team with 4 players still left alive. However, I've said that before with KONINA Power, they had 4 players, and yet it still went terribly, terribly wrong.
Yeah, I don't really know, to put it bluntly, how to call a lot of these fights right now, where we're starting to see some of our squads that otherwise you would have assumed would have been able to do a little bit more going in this today, feeling a little bit shaky, you know, like almost as if they're not fully zoned in yet. They're not fully in that kind of flow state that you need to get into a groove into here in PUBG Mobile. Nomi, he's deep in the Matrix at the minute. He could see the binary on that one. Tucks in, keeps himself alive, but barely. Effect just wants to close the distance and look to take this assault a bit more aggressively. See if he can shut down Snoweggs. Molotov damage burning brightly in the back, but Effect will be silenced off of the contact there. They are at least able to work together, so Major Pride, they bring the claws out, cut their way through the defense of SBG, and make their lives a bit easier for now. This one's going to keep on giving, though, as Naomi has to peek back towards the Nameless and punishes the beast, slaying him for good.
To be fair to Snoweggs, right? That first nade hits over towards Nomi. Life becomes a lot more difficult for Major Pride there forward. MADBULLS, this is the Maxman prediction. I don't know how he's doing it, but he's got some kind of ability just to see slightly into the future. Shifu, though, finds the last player there from the Nameless. Dagestan doing fairly decent. We highlighted them on day one, saying that, you know what, they've been bringing things up to speed. They have played boot camp for quite a while now, but it was a good transition from them. They're finding success off the back of it. Major Pride get the circle. Very difficult to walk up towards this location. Luckily for a lot of teams, you can see here towards the backside of the warehouses, there's this door available to you. Yes, you can jump peek over towards the little slats. You can take some really nasty little nades and bank them off the ceiling and downwards. I don't think Major Pride has too many nades left remaining though, so it might be a possibility for some of these teams to get up. They only have to watch the 2 doors, those are the only 2 entrances and exits from this side of the building, which is useful for Major Pride and useful for the teams that have to assault this spot.
Some big names. It's interesting what we've been left with here. PERMITTA Esports amongst the thick of it is their sandwich between both MADBULLS and Dagestan, with Major Pride now starting to beam down, finding a bit of an opportunity here to take a few pot shots, nades, decimating the players that are close by, with PERMITTA struggling to keep themselves on their feet now. Dagestan really capitalizing on the weakened knee they presented themselves with. Nomi opts to move a bit further closer towards the front line to provide assistance for the rest of Major Pride as well. And Zerich, belly down on the ground, starting to encroach further forward, looking for an angle. This man can be a real laser beam, and even though he's the only solo player left on MADBULLS, if he gets into a position where he can have a clear line of sight, he could thrust himself a bit further up the standings, as most of these squads are down to just one solo. PERMITTA and MADBULLS are a single person, with Dagestan having a duo to work with in Limbo and Keep that are just trying to keep themselves tucked further back. MADBULLS also being beamed upon no blank. This could be the opener.
This is kind of difficult for Dagestan. They need this compound that Athis is currently holding. It's going to give them a lot of space to play in, but they've just not been able to take him down. Finally, the Molotov does the trick, but not many smokes to get across. I think Keep just about makes it here. The circle will push in. Major Pride, though, they've managed to get across in the meantime. MADBULLS still in this. Zerich takes some shots, takes down Limbo. Nomi is on scene. Some good shots there as well from Naomi. We'll finish him off. Now it's Keep in a 1v3.
Keep. Can he do anything heroic? No, not this time. Finished off in the end there as the chicken dinner is grabbed. It's held onto and taken away. Oh, mate, that's a fairly exciting finish in the end then for him. I mean, you know, Major Pride on that one looking relatively confident. They had a good grasp on it. Didn't look too overzealous. Let a lot of the dominoes just sort of fall into place with the teams that were fighting amongst themselves. Yeah. Smart way to play it out, really. You know, not over-egging the pudding on that one, but still hitting the shots where they needed to.
Yeah, I mean, I called it stage 4. The Major Pride was going to win the game. You know, no problem for me. It's called it straight away. Yeah,
power didn't exist.
It was easy. It was easy for me. Yeah, it's a difficult match. It's a difficult match for a lot of teams. I think that just looking at those endgame circles, Jackie, they were horrific. Really difficult to play around with.
It was, yeah, it was. In the end, though, Major Pride securing the first chicken dinner of the day. But let's swiftly make our move back on over to the analyst desk and dissect this one a little bit.
Major Pride here, not playing the most conventional location, but are still able to get themselves the victory after being split across the river and utilizing it very, very strongly here. Joining me, Max, to talk about this Sanhok to start things off. Max, did not expect them to be the one victorious in this circle, but the circles played an interesting role in this one. They got themselves 20 points.
It was like, oh, it's going to go to Northwest Island, then it goes back towards boot camp and actually just ends on the outside of boot camp itself. So a very unusual shifts on the circle, I think is fair to say. But they're split across the river. I'm a big fan of how they play this one. They keep Naomi towards the cliff of the mainland to the east, and they just keep their options open. You're not really playing trifecta. It's like a poor man's version of trifecta they're playing, so they can easily transition if needed, and then they just start sweeping the warehouses north so efficiently. So, I mean, Major Pride, the moment they're in a compound, they're going to just start blasting against everyone, and then that transition to that little slope north of boot camp to secure the win. There's just a very dominant win coming out from the boys.
700 damage from effect here to start things off. And again, moving through, they're quite fortunate that the warehouses in the north, I think, weren't more occupied. I mean, of course, KONINA Power moved in. We saw SnowX as well from SBG kind of move in as well. But for the most part, none of these were major threats to stop Major Pride in their push through these warehouses. So that was also very important here. I mean, it was Gladiators that really put so much damage into KONINA Power before that even occurred.
Yeah, I mean, at one point there was what, like, little UMP versus big DBS. Like, you know, you know who's going to be winning that fight at some point. So not much KONINA could do. They left off Hayes a bit behind. So unfortunately, just got blasted by the DBS. But good on Dagestan to be able to survive the madness of boot camp. They had PERMITTA, there was the Nameless at one point too, and they were able to just maneuver their way through all of those fights to be the last survivor of that little boot camp position. But yeah, otherwise Gladiators, that was a big blast north though, Kalaris. They sent it wide because they knew that with Major Pride's position, you're not going to cross the river, so you have to go for the wide cross in the blue. And they got a few eliminations off the back of that, so not too shabby.
Yeah, they did. I mean, of course, they got caught in a very precarious spot by KONINA Power and eventually lose out on a few of their members, right, the Gladiators. But beyond that, it's still, they're eventually able to get a few eliminations off the back of those northern fights that do go on. One thing that really became a huge focal point, of course, was boot camp and the compounds east of boot camp here, as we see Zerich once again almost doing 1,000 damage. That's ridiculous here on Sanhok, especially given the position that they were in, because it's not exactly the easiest position to play in a circle like this.
Yeah, if you were still wondering why the hell does Zerich always have the highest survival time, is because he just keeps getting away with it. He's just like snaking his way in top 3 randomly, giving me my one prediction point, which thank you very much, Zerich, for allowing me to get that point. But yeah, they win fights that I think they should not be winning in the first place, but it's all down to how good they are at using their utility, especially Molotovs. We keep mentioning it many times, right, Kalaris, that Molotovs are so important to breach those wooden floor buildings, which is where TUNA were in the eastern side. And they just chuck the mollies, they just block out a huge portion of the buildings that they're going to go and breach later on, and then they just get close enough, they just bring out the DBS, it's done from there on out. When the DBS is close enough, you know you're not going to win that fight.
It's pretty good gum. It is pretty good here. I mean, there were some moments, as I say, where we were watching some of these close range fights going on where you're waiting for people to run up to you with the DBS and you've got an ump in hand. It's like, okay, the ump's cool, but it's not the DBS. And for all of these teams trying to come out of boot camp towards the end as well, they are fortunate that they had this south circle shift, even though they didn't win the game. Because if it's north circle shift, there's, at least with the south circle shift, there was maybe a 5% chance that they were going to win against Major Pride. If it moves north, 0% chance. It's impossible to get out of there.
Yeah, this little dip is just too strong for them. Good for them to get MADBULLS, because if Zerich stays alive, then it becomes a lot harder to play that position, but then they just fully send it in because they got the M4s, they got the DBS. It is Major Pride we're talking about here. And we mentioned on the pre-show, right, that with the race to PMGC, they were falling a little bit behind on day one. It's just one day, so it can happen. But the fact they bring it back with not just a chicken dinner, it's a very dominant one at that, with a decent amount of eliminations. I'm really hyped because normally PMGC race towards the end of the full season, you pretty much know which one team is going to be there. The fact it's a 3-team race is so interesting as a storyline. So hyped to see who's going to make it.
Let's take a look at the overalls then and see those numbers that are racking up here from Phase 3 so far, because Major Pride now jumps quite dramatically into that second place with the 20 points they were able to garner. Look at that, the perfect split of limbs and placement, 26-26. That's cool.
Yeah. Did we change the big 3 to like the big 4 with Titan? I mean, take
Titan?
5 with the MUERTE also. They're up there sometimes. I don't know. It's not just MADBULLS, Major Pride, Gladiators. There are other contenders I want to meet. I want to say.
I don't think you can change the big 3 just yet, because this is Titan's first season here, right? If they did this back-to-back seasons compared to the MADBULLS, Major Pride, and Gladiators, I think you could do that. But
yeah, fair. We'll keep it for 2024 storylines. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. The fact that Titan are still up there without a single win, it is good, because we talked about the survival time increase. It's pretty damn nice to have. Though TUNA still a little bit unfortunate how they could not defend against their MADBULLS breach. They had so much space to really stop MADBULLS from breaching their position, but it was a little bit tough because, well, it's MADBULLS with Molotovs on Sanhok, so it's tough.
Kind of cool, kind of cool. We've got ourselves 9th through 16th as well, for the most part. A little bit of a divide forming here between Dagestan and KASIK team, and if anywhere there was going to be a divide forming, you don't want to be on that 12th barrier because of that potential Livik match down the line here. So KASIK and Downwards, they need to step up here, Max.
Nexus? What's happening, Nexus? I don't know. We expected so much more after the championship. I think everyone and the fans especially have been expecting so much more from Nexus, but yeah, they just... I don't know what's been happening. It seems like the switch has been flipped off and nothing's happening for the team anymore. They keep dying relatively early, getting involved in early game fights, and they just don't win them. So yeah, the worst time for it to happen, because this could mean they don't make it in championship. Having results like this is really going to hurt their bonus points and maybe the morale heading in the finals.
Yeah, I want to know where their confidence is at, because it feels like it's shattered, right? Which is a little bit disappointing for a team that we've watched so long in the region as a whole. But anyways, MADBULLS, Gladiators, and Major Pride, surprise, surprise, doing well on Erangel so far. We've seen Dagestan and Tyen both have amazing wins. Both 25 LM wins were on Erangel for those two teams here. So definitely challengers to the throne for the big three, Max.
I would love to see myself another big dominant Dagestan chicken dinner. We haven't seen it since that 25 elimination win, so we want to see more presence from the guys. But otherwise, these are all top contenders. Do you expect to do well on Erangel? It's their bread and butter at the end of the day, so no big surprise. But yeah, it's interesting to see who's going to get themselves the win, because this time Titan not playing, no VIRTUS.PRO, TUNA, or Unicorns of Love. So we're going to see if MUERTE can bring it back and contend for top 3.
All right, it's time for the casters. Grassy Pastures here, the second game of the day. Let's head over to Jackie and Blank.
Oh, a nice little woodland experience this time around. It'll be good fun. Erangel. I think we've got some fun storylines here based off a few of the things we've been seeing. That was a nice segment to, I think, get everyone kind of on the same page. Get the grey gears turning at this time of day, Blank.
Oh, and I mean, I need to get those great gears turned at this time of the day, because, look, there's a lot that happened on that Sanhok. It was all over the place. I was having to shift into third hoof to really get that one on board, Jackie, to be honest. So, bit difficult, but we're here again. I think we are starting to see some of those similar names, their similar storylines start to push through. I think one of the main things that Max was talking about, which really interested me, is that MADBULLS are winning fights that realistically they shouldn't. And a lot of that just comes off the back of them just sending for spots on the map and just having that confidence that they have the gun skill to take out other teams in those situations. It's a really cool play style. It's one that I am massively enjoying, and let's see what they can get done here on Erangel off the back of it, because I think that MADBULLS, from their week 1, their phase 1 performance, like, this is a team that I think deserves to sort of be in that first place spot all the way towards the end. Major Pride have had some good step-ups. Gladiators have had some good step-ups. I think for Major Pride, it's a case of more finding themselves. For Gladiators, similar kind of story, is a case of how do we continue playing in this new playstyle? How do we figure it out? I'm sure that when we start seeing them get towards the end of the year, EU champs, PMGC, that's where we'll start to see like a very different type of Gladiators. But right now, this is the perfect environment to start figuring out how you want to play as a team. For MADBULLS, I think they've already got that. They already understand how they want to play these games. They've got a very set play style, and because they know what they're capable of so well, they're able to pull off these really cool little rotates, these really cool little fights.
I think it's an interesting point, and it's one of those where, you know, you really are looking at a team that kind of feels like they've fleshed out an awful lot of their own identity. The individuals really do pound for pound deliver a lot of times in the battleground as well. So it's just a matter of slight adjustments more so than anything, just getting everything really drilled in, really hammered home, and potentially as well with a squad like MADBULLS. It again feels like when the pressure's on a bit more, when they need to give you that extra sort of 15, 20%, it does just come out of them. It does just appear from somewhere. You know, we know individually they can really just absolutely rock this lobby if they're on point. So hopefully we start to see more of that. Obviously, good signs from Gladiators over the course of the week as well. Feels like they're vastly more comfortable than they ever have been in terms of controlling the game whenever they want to. MUERTE is a side that we haven't seen too much of today, though, that I'd like to get a bit more of a glimpse on, because they can also be incredibly fun to watch alongside packing so much of a skill ceiling. Furia, definitely one of the names that really does fit the bill on that one. They've been a bit flanked here. Rogo's been able to get roof control. He wanted to drop down. It seemed like with the way way that he was poising himself with the body language. Instead, just holds the doorway, spraying on the push. It's a 1-for-1 trade, though, and it gets a bit awkward. No one really around to help him out, so he's fully taken down, and PERMITTA already have to deal with this one, starting off as a free.
Yeah, good play from TUNA actually, because I think with that particular playing path, like they want to go towards the PUBG, right? They want to play a bit of a split drop though, where they have some players out towards that western side that can watch out for some teams that might want to drop on top of them. But this is a really cool little adjustment coming through from MUERTE in the sense that we are most likely, with the playing path being so far towards that eastern side, going to have a few teams around this location that are going to drop on some of our spots. So they fully commit over towards Mansion side as a full 4. They spot the one player that drops in his position looking for maybe a cheeky pickoff, and then they can kind of send it over towards Lipovka after this and fully loot up. It's a smart move and it's a good adjustment in the sense that if you're ever in your own games, you see a very hard eastern playing path, you want to go for the split drop over towards Lipovka. It's a good idea to drop as a full 4-man squad over towards Mansion first, clear out any stragglers, and then head back over towards Lipovka afterwards. So I really like that play from MUERTE, and they love to cover their own backs when it comes to their initial drop spots. They're a team that does very well towards that mid game, I'd say stage 3, stage 4, in terms of finding positions around the area of the map that they might not be suspecting. So really do like that from MUERTE. And you're right, this is a good team. They're still figuring things out. I think their splits sometimes are either absolutely godly or they're ill-advised. There's no real in-between for them at the moment. And I think it's good, though, either way. Like we said, they're figuring it out. What works in one game might not work in the next, but at least they're getting valuable information off the back of that. Again, horrible playing path into horrible circle, with it being far towards the eastern side, dropping everyone out the plane, and then we're getting a hard shift over towards the west. Right now, we have, I think it's 5 teams currently in the circle, which is crazy for a stage 1 shift here. It's just Major Pride, KASIK team, No Mercy Warriors, Gladiators, as well as Dark Project. The entirety of Gatka Fields is just open. So there's a lot of room for rotations. There's a lot of room for picking up some really key compounds early on for teams like KASIK, like Major Pride, like Gladiators.
Can they capitalize on it? What will they be able to bubble up for us on this one? Time will tell. For KASIK team, though, it's nice to see that, of course, well, we're not on Sanhok. They don't have to scrap instantly from the minute the pistol goes. So they will be able to play with their full squad, at least for now. Obviously, pretty much every time we've seen them go head-to-head versus Titan on those, never ends well for either of the two teams, and always makes it a bit harder to have a benchmark for just how far this team could be going, because they've been looking pretty damn swanky with it. Some of the plays we've been seeing from KASIK team have been impressive. It seems like the decision making's been getting better. They've been hitting their shots as well. So maybe here on Erangel, they'll have a little bit more to say for themselves. We'll check in with them later, depending on how they develop this one. Dark Project on screens as well. Dark Project, I don't know, it kind of feels like it really has sort of been a bit topsy-turvy every time we see them. Some days they get slightly deeper into the runnings, you know, sometimes you see some nice plays from aces, but I don't know if consistently I'd say there's really been that much that, you know, you're going to be writing home about super ecstatic to be seeing. So Dark Project, I think it's one of those where it's just maybe at some point we'll have something crazy to be said for them.
It's slightly unfortunate, I'd say, for Dark Project with the players they have on side. You know, Ivaneska and Aces are both really strong players, but again, they're supportive players. Ivaneska plays flank, so does Aces. They're not exactly the initiators you want on the team. I think back when Aces was playing on ARR alongside with Elementrix, Elementrix was very good at getting in the engagement nice and quickly for them, and that would be the initiator. Then Aces could take some of these really good off angles. So I just don't think the team composition is quite there yet. Even Dark Project not being able to field weight anymore, he was that guy that was in the front lines for them. He would perform extremely well alongside Aces as well as Ivaneska, but they just don't have him on the team anymore. So it is unfortunate, and I just think that the team composition there needs to be figured out a little bit, or someone needs to start taking a heavier hand in those initiating fights. Talking about KASIK team, though, that you were mentioning before, and I think that you're completely right. They're a team that has had some really good moments in these games. Like, sometimes their holds feel nigh on unstoppable, right? They're just unbreakable on those compounds. I think the difference is, though, for KASIK team, I'd say they're a team that's underestimated a lot by a few of the teams in the lobby. I think we were talking about a big five on the desk there. We can't confirm that right now, but there is a team like KASIK that I think a lot of teams would think that you could just roll them over, you could bulldoze through them. It's not always likely to be, and I think that's what catches a lot of teams off guard when trying to go against KASIK. It's a case of, we'll just send it in, we'll throw some Molotovs, we'll throw some nades, it'll be easy. Suddenly you're dealing with a different kind of beast.
Oh yeah, they're not going to let you walk over them. I think that's why it's gotten so fun to watch as well, because you might be right with that theory, right, where you're seeing some of the teams that maybe still aren't showing the same level of respect that they should now be deserved in these lobbies, they should be given. And because of that, you kind of play into their hand a little bit more. Maybe you think, oh, okay, we can try and pull out a quick maneuver here, go for a quick crash onto KASIK team, clean up on them, and then you hardly limp away from the fight or just get mopped up yourself, because they are really good right now in terms of the communication, the way they're playing around one another. They play off each other's contact quite nicely, and that saved them an awful lot in some of these fights, even when they're down numbers. So it always something to have into the back of your mind when you're thinking about KASIK team. Maybe we'll get an opportunity to see some of that as well, as they're somewhat being spied on here. You had a spy in the midst as Gladiators sent Tixi down, just lurking on the wayside, and he was able to do a little bit of reconnaissance, just poising themselves slightly further back. Dagestan are in the midst as well. They were quite close by, and we're already getting some scraps occurring with Madagod and co for the Nameless, taking it head-to-head versus Alpha. So far, there's been a couple of trades onto either side, with Reflect being knocked, Ikshipa already fully taken out of commission. Nice nade, though.
Wow.
That's a big one from Tenchik.
Yeah, I think Tenchik is a good player as well on the team. He's also such a wild card as well. I think when we casted a while back, you know, we were saying very similar things about Tulika, right? You either wins your games or he just loses your games. You're furious with him. He's very much fixed that problem, and I think now that Tenchik could learn a lot from how Tulika switched up his gameplay, which is a lot more reliable. We saw them lose that game versus VP yesterday on Erangel itself because they took some crazy splits. They looked way too aggressive. Tenchik kept trying to find an off angle and start things off, but they had so much advantage over in that zone with Mandarin holding a high ground position on the house. Realistically, they just had to send a line in and then hopefully spot a player, allow Mandarin to take shots at him, and they could work from there in terms of a 4v3 into 4v2, 3v1, and then it's GG. So I think Tenchik certainly is a great player. Doesn't have to think that the whole game is his to win, though. I think he can trust in his teammates a little bit more, especially with how good the Sheeper is. Mandarin's a fantastic player. Reflect is one of the new best fraggers I've seen on the field when it comes to PMPL EU. So, yeah, he doesn't have to do everything.
That's what you need as well. Just a few extra players within the roster that can take the baton at times, take the weight off of even the best sort of impact fragger, the best sort of stalwart player you can have that can really hit like a hurricane at times. You still need a bit of a backup plan. You need the rest of the squad to be able to provide some support. Shockwave on screens here as well, off towards the wayside as we started to see a bit of a rotate there from our teams. This is how things are shaping up, though, in terms of the zone right now. Nexus up to their old tricks, but actually inside of the zone already, which is definitely been more of a trend for them. They haven't been playing as slow as we were seeing historically. It's been a bit quicker with the decision making, a bit quicker with the rotations, and they look a bit more confident in the way they're doing it. Previously, you know, it kind of felt like they wanted to be in the blue. They wanted to be out of trouble for as long as physically possible. Now it seems like some of them are willing to take the fights a bit more head on. I like that change. It just depends, you know, when we're going to see them really gaining respect from it and garnering the success that they're looking for.
Again, a little replay there of Tenchik. Again, great player. Like I said before, needs to perhaps control himself just a little bit. Reflect sends in over towards this position. No one's there to help him as Dagestan's currently playing in towards the storm drain. It's a really good spot to be in. You need to make sure people can't get too close to you though, because it is very easily nadeable. We're over towards a position on the map where there's a lot of interesting features here. Gladiators gives me a little bit of trauma here because they're over towards this northwest side. We've seen them lose very easy fights from this position, which is actually very strong within this circle. Gives them great sight lines, great defensive capability. So I don't want to see Gladiators just allow this position to go to waste. They were one of the first teams to be able to take one of these priority compounds. They've taken advantage of that now. Just don't let a team get too close and just rinse you.
Foopsman in the back line here towards Dark Project. Quite close to one another. Tresley as well, potentially having a little bit of an angle. Sees he's going to be peeking back, keeping his nose clean for the meantime. Sort of rotate from VULGAR boys. They'll be following the trail of KONINA Power as they start to make their move on up. And that's where KASIK team have one of the few compounds in the area under their thumb as well. So potential for a few of these squads to have a bit of a power struggle, just to have some map geometry to play with. VULGAR boys at least finding somewhere to set themselves up. Becca, with quite a nice lineup on this as well, is able to spot out Foopsman from absolutely miles away. In the meantime, some punches being thrown out across the battleground, as well as a few players will be knocked. It seems like Alpha are just eating the bullets distributed there.
Yeah, PERMITTA Esports just sent over towards them, and I think that Alpha's been kind of struggling to find a position within the circle they want to stay. VULGAR boys, that's Foopsman getting exploded by force from Dark Project. This is a great place for MUERTE to actually try and take this engagement out on their own. Milky Way absolutely has to win that engagement. He was in a very precarious position, but where MUERTE is, it's a lovely swing up towards this northwest side. They have the high ground bridge to play down towards SHOCKWAVE, so SHOCKWAVE moving in through from the blue, uphill. Horrible spot to be in. Not sure what Corker's doing there. Just going to fly through, see if he can find a player. I mean, it's working. It is working.
He's online. He's activated. Corker finding that one basically for free. Wagnazada also going down. SHOCKWAVE start catching strays here. Meanwhile, Redox inside the building, breaching clear level gameplay as he's starting to flush them out. And he's really just scrapping for control of the compound. You've got backup now from the rest of Nexus that are arriving, causing carnage inside of the house, keeping them trapped as well and putting them down for good. So SBG, the longer this one goes on, the worse it's getting, with the manpower dwindling bit by bit. A well-placed nade from Narvalo could be the difference maker as EXO is knocked, but you've still got to deal with the rest of the squad. That's the hard part. The nades would have to be so precise here. If the Molotov spread onto Octavian, maybe it would have given them something to try and fight back into this one. Instead, it's two players knocked from Nexus, with Octavian looking to go for the fast peek, actually use the movement after the jump shot off the top of the AC. Longer this fight occurs, Blank, really more out of hand it gets for Nexus. It's probably going to blow up in their face now, as it's all just Kapahala being pushed upon, but hitting an all-important shot.
Yeah, Narvala has to push up now, try and take it down. Pulls out the nade to go for the confirmation on this one. We'll keep springing out the side, but a nade through the window should do the trick. Does not, bounces back, and Kapahala is able to finish it. Down to just one player though, not ideal. Either way, I think SBG really held their own there versus Nexus. Nexus again, I think that a little bit quicker in towards the circle is still something we constantly ask for them. The meta right now is just center play. MADBULLS find their way over towards a strong spot, move from Rozhok to the west side, pick themselves up, not the most ideal position in the circle in terms of compounds, but it is one of the only compounds within the circle, so it still will work out. VULGAR's attempted to move across that Everest side, but No Mercy Warriors is just loving their position up on high.
Problem is for VULGAR boys, Foopsman, the agent of chaos that he is, he's already gone. He's not going to be able to support them, to use his magic for them to be fueled with confidence by seeing his cape flap in the wind. You can see what that means with Tresley going down because of it. Didn't have the buff, the Foops buff. Ooh. This could be interesting, at least. A little bit of a peek here from Dark Project as you're just holding the window with the third person, trying to keep an eye on the road ahead of you. You had the rotation coming around there slowly, I believe, from KONINA Power that's starting to make their move up. So if we get contact on that, we'll see what goes down. Kapahala, of course, the only man that's left from Nexus after the awkward fight that they went through. He's on the move, just trying to keep himself in the game and in a better position. This is the slow crawl that KONINA Power have to go on. Luckily, tons of utility in the back pocket, so all the smokes go up to try and daze and confuse. But you can see just how paranoid and timid they are when it comes to getting across this road, knowing that Dark Project are probably in this compound. They're a little bit sheepish about it.
Yeah, I mean, KONINA Power is sacrificing position in terms of the compound for a better chance at removing this team. Agori gets so aggressive. We'll take a nade, Ivaneski in the backside, but we'll get blasted. Out of control here, Jackie.
Oh, Palucci as well keeps it going, Blank. Just runs in with the timing towards the backhand side of the building. Blaps the man straight in the face with the SPG, blowing him to bits. Okay. That was a nicely dealt with control there on the compound, actually. KONINA Power really toying with the pace, making you think they were uncomfortable, they wanted to go slow. They crash into the window and then just one by one surgically remove Dark Project from the equation. So they're looking really good today, actually. This is another game where they're looking drilled. And in that situation as well, it was actually a bit better with the communication and the trading between them. So pretty damn nice to see KONINA Power having quite a nice play day.
Yeah, they're a strong team. They've got great players on side. I think they just need a bit more experience, and then we'll start seeing them get very good stuff done. And I think in Phase 2, they started to figure things out just a little bit better for themselves and towards the end of Phase 1. However, it just has been a case of a few more things I'd like to see from this team. Just a few more things. Either way, I've been pretty pleased. They move in. Gladiators lose Tixi in the process. Meku finds Palucci. This is what I was talking about before. I just didn't want to see a team fly up towards their position and start taking their players out for Gladiators.
Oh, okay. No punches being pulled here. Gladiators really sticking the knife in and seeing just how much damage they can do now. Even on the re-peaks that were pretty swift from KONINA Power, it's too shallow. It's too little compared to what they would have needed to establish here. But what this has done is bought enough time, bought an opportunity for KASIK team to push up and close the gap. And now there's a duo in English, supported by skills, with Trofka starting to make his move down as well, ready for this one. And bear in mind, Gladiators, they're not in a great spot right now. Green around the gills, on their last legs on HP on a few of them. English, the nade bounces back from the window seal though. That makes it a bit harder.
Yeah, this gives time for Gladiators to kind of reset on this one and try and hold some more teams. In the meantime, though, No Mercy Warriors, they're moving in from the north side, Jackie. This is when things can start to get a little bit dicey. Kitsune drops down a little smoke, but there's so many angles he's going to have to worry about. Trofka also over towards this railing. Let's get a couple of pot shots off. Identifies the position.
Oh, No Mercy Warriors. They're up on the hillside, they're throwing nades down, and Gladiators kind of have backed themselves into a bit of a corner here that might make it easier for some of those nades to potentially hit them. Kitsune ready with a shotty, the predictions coming through as well. Seems like everyone's a little bit split on this one. We're not quite sure where it's going to go in terms of the chicken dinner being divvied out. Trofka up close, try and flash off the corner, and then peek in with the timing. Oh, it's an awkward clear on the angle though, Blank. It's one of those that you feel like he's about to lose his lips on the peak, but he still cleans up at least.
It does clean up. I mean, finally. KASIK team still holding their own, even taking shots up towards No Mercy Warriors, which is absolutely huge. MADBULLS over towards our eastern side with MUERTE looking down towards them, desperately trying to stay within this game. 6 eliminations so far, though, pretty decent. MADBULLS have forfeited a lot of their elimination gain in terms of just getting a better spot within the circle. You like what MADBULLS are doing here. They realize this doesn't have to be a scrappy game for them. They have a strong position in the circle. Malloy gets absolutely rinsed there, and now Zerich is just going to start looking to pick up the final pieces over on this western side of the map, Jackie.
Mate, watching Matic right now, there's been so many opportunities actually.
How is he not dead?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, he actually looks like he could have owned them in a few of those moments where he's got the nade as well on like the timing for the push. That was kind of wild. He's just so annoying to deal with. Even as a solo in that sort of spot, he's still just causing problems. Well-placed nade. Could have been the difference of KASIK team even still being standing right now, with how closely grouped they were on that push to flush out the one last player. But for what it is, we'll let Sleeping Dogs lie. We'll look at how this shapes up then. KASIK team do survive, barely, continuingly by barely here, but they have lost one player. Unicorn, he's taken out of the equation. They've got a bit of time now. They've been able to get away from the death zone that was that compound as well, so they're not being spammed down from No Mercy Warriors on the hill as much anymore. They need to heal themselves up and then think about the longevity on this one. Quite a few big name squads remaining in the game here as well.
Oof, I mean, Skills is there, has kind of owned it in terms of getting in. Vehicle pickup comes through. Oh, he misses it, won't get in the taxi. We'll have to continue on his own. It's been a bit awkward here so far. Shots been coming through as well. Quickly gets the next pickup. Window, the door is open, slides his way in like John Wick. What is that? Oh my, you love to see it.
That's a nice throwback. Shout out to the Obs team on that one. That was pretty cool. A nice way to secure a bonneting. I suppose that was more of a booting, really.
It was,
yeah.
yeah.
The car doing the damage there.
And the spinning roundhouse buggy kick. I like that.
The Chuck Norris of boots.
Yeah, the Chuck Norris of buggies. I like that a lot. Major Pride, though, actually surprised to getting far into this game as well. Off the back of their last win, you know, up to a top 5 already. They're looking to garner some points here today on day 2. MADBULLS have a good idea of where they're playing from. 2 eliminations, but I think MADBULLS are currently doing enough right now in the circle. They are hurting these teams.
And Keep. Can he maintain control of this position that he's been left in? You can see 2 nades armed and ready here for Major Pride. Keep replies with one of them onto Dino to make sure that he's fully taken out of the equation after securing the opening knock. The reply back is good, at least to buy a bit of time. Ooh, lining it up for Flique though. He's keeping his eye on their feet. Needs to try and find an angle on this one. Taking a few pot shots, little bit of damage. Not really enough for what he wanted on this one. Trying to secure those knocks towards Major Pride, but at least they now know they're being watched as well. So the info game going both ways. Flique looking all over the shop for frags here.
Yeah, it's just not really hitting them, but certainly keeping the pressure on right now. This is a position where No Mercy Warriors probably can win this game. I do enjoy what I'm looking at right now from MADBULLS. Pretty much the majority of the team is running a Mini 14, so they understood that this was going to come down to some long-range engagements. Flique just taking the toes off of Major Pride right now. Pretty cruel. Running will not be too much of a capability for Major Pride in the future if this continues, this keeps up. Flique has his eyes on her. I think he thinks he's there, just doesn't want to take the shots. That could have been lovely over towards Effect there. Nasty headshot coming through from Flique.
Flique still just toying with this one. Little peeks now and then, scoped in, ready to deal some damage if possible, but this is going to be a decisive play. Here comes the KASIK team Warhead arriving on scene, looking to punish with the weaponry in hand now, funneling everyone into an awkward angle. No Mercy Warriors at least have the break in the lines. Marlow is able to tiptoe his way around them and come back in for the clean-up right hook. That's a nightmare for KASIK.
That is, I mean, that looked kind of good. I like the little stun grenade thrown out at the beginning. Some decent shots there with the DBS as well. Major Pride will be taken down. Flique finds Shifu. It was a matter of time before they were going to start popping off here. And with No Mercy Warriors still have to recuperate, they're not going to be able to find themselves too much more off the back of this one whilst MADBULLS continues to control the circle. Everyone is now down on that south side. The entirety of MADBULLS now can start to focus their position over towards No Mercy Warriors. Getting off this hillside, hugely difficult. I think the majority of the vehicles there now are exploded too. They may have 1 or 2 vehicles left remaining, but is that really enough? And Frozen already sending out. Yeah, this delay from KASIK team has sort of ruined No Mercy Warriors' chances.
MADBULLS is the chicken dinner. in their future here. They thrive in these sort of situations. And this goes back to our previous conversation about respect as well. MADBULLS in a spot like this up against No Mercy Warriors, they should be head to toe feeling confident. They should be able to really play that classic MADBULLS style in these sort of situations. I don't see them second guessing themselves as much. For No Mercy Warriors though, you're in a spot where you feel lucky to be alive. You feel blessed to be here off the back of surviving the KASIK crash that you went through. And they're somewhat limited in terms of the bits and pieces. At least the death boxes containing some extra utility, that's given them something to play with, Blank. But this is not going to be easy. If they want to win this one, it's got to be so damn clean. You're down a man and you're up against MADBULLS that have been hitting some worldies this game.
This nade feels like it's almost on target over towards Frozen God. Luckily, he's able to just back away a bit. If they got one damage marker on towards him, that could have been a different story. Still, nade's been sent over the top, but MADBULLS being extremely careful where they place theirs. They don't have the huge amount of death crates up towards No Mercy Warriors, which is supplying them with all this gear, with all this utility. For MADBULLS, they've been in the same spot for a long, long time, which is why you only start to see those eliminations coming out in the end game there, Jackie, because they don't want to expend too much ammo. But Fleek, once again, this guy's on a roll this game.
Fleek, the fastest flicker in the West. He'll take down any criminal, it seems. Right now, though, it would have to be some thievery, something cheeky for No Mercy Warriors, as their chances of getting their hands on the chicken dinner is getting slimmer and slimmer the longer this one goes on. Obley realizing his fate now. It seems like this one is cooked, and it will go the way of MADBULLS, as they've seen red and ran straight towards the finish line.
I mean, you love even that play at the end there, kind of the distraction with the buggy, sends over towards the wide side. Wobbly, the only thing you can do is kind of back up to try and eliminate that angle. Tulika's already on the left, going to take shots towards them. But yeah, it's one of those situations where you see MADBULLS, they're not in the best spot possible in terms of utility, in terms of loot, so they take it really slow up and towards that end game. So it's nice that they can play both play styles very easily, where they switch up to the mini 14 side of things, play in towards that end game, understanding they've got a great spot, and then they shift things into a second gear towards that end there. It's really, really good stuff.
And it's cool as well. It's nice seeing the DMRs getting a bit more of a spotlight, especially with such good aimers using them, right? We know MADBULLS are really sick at aiming. It goes hand in hand, and it was a great game for them. So our second chicken dinner of the day wrapped up. Still so much more to get through today here at PMPL EU. So join us after the break.
Like a bunch of dolphins just having a good time in the Atlantic Ocean, jumping about. It's the MADBULLS here, able to get themselves a pretty simple win, as they had a great compound to be able to stage this victory from. However, they were controlling everything south of them, and then moving towards their west to take out No Mercy Warriors was nothing to them. Joining me, Max, to talk about this one. It's MADBULLS all over, mate.
Yep, it's MADBULLS balling out of control, yeah. And my prediction is dying early. Just not doing too much. It was a bit tough for them. Though, we had some teams, that, because we could talk about MADBULLS and how like they got themselves a great game. I want to talk about other teams that I was impressed with what they were doing, especially KASIK team's third party, happening versus KONINA Power Gladiators. Except for Ingush not understanding the winning doors were closed and he was trying to chuck that nade. That was a bit unfortunate. But otherwise, good third party from them, trying to clear some space onto the western side. And off the back of that, able to get himself 6 points. But this is one of the best games in a long time from No Mercy Warriors here, Kalaris, and good also presence on Everest from this team.
No, absolutely. I was impressed that they were able to move down the way they did. As you say, the third party, if that has to happen. If that does not, and No Mercy Warriors tries to move down from Everest, then Gladiators probably just blast them out of control. It was going to be difficult. With 14 points going their way, though. But No Mercy Warriors looking like a different team here to start off in phase number 3. Dagestan, likewise, 12 points overall go their way and down towards the bottom. Unfortunately, kind of the usual suspects here, Max.
Yeah, still not seeing too much from Nexus. They got himself a squad wipe, and outside of that, not too much. No, actually, as we're looking at PERMITTA on the bottom of the rankings here, PERMITTA split towards Heaven and those kind of spots onto the eastern edge. Very punishable, and I feel like MUERTE have slowly come to understand that, okay, this is a really weird split to go for. You guys are just solos all over the place. There's one player alone in Heaven. We just push it. Start off the game with a little bit of extra loot and 1 free point. Like, hell yeah, count me in. And MUERTE, I think, are going to try and repeat that until PERMITTA try and fix it, but they might not. So easy point for them.
Perhaps exacerbated a little bit by the playing path and the circle and trying to get to exactly where you want to drop and loot and things like that. However, you're right. Ultimately, that kind of split, which is, I guess, a salvage split, it's not really a thing. It's difficult. I can understand where Alpha is, kind of across shelter split and things like that, etc. But yeah, for some of these other teams, not so much. MADBULLS, though, 2,400 damage, considering they didn't really have to do a whole lot of flexing in this game. They eventually got this compound, and there is these big dichotomies in these compounds, right, Max? We were talking about whilst the game was going on. Technically, Gladiators compound, good because you can protect vehicles. MADBULLS compound, you can't really protect your vehicles that way. But if you have the circle coming your way the majority of the game, you don't really need them that much.
That was the thing. That's why I would have liked Gladiators to go for MADBULLS' position a little bit earlier, because it was dead center of the circle and you could stay there for like 2-3 more circles and you could still reach the late game. That's why I was expecting them to go there. But protecting cars is also pretty important, as stated, and MADBULLS could not do it, but they didn't have to move, so didn't really need the cars. You could just have Fleek on the rooftops with the Mini 14, which I'm still loving. This like DMR meta is so much more interesting than just DBS all the time. You've got a bit more long range being played. So yeah, they're just blasting out all the teams in the fields, like your KASIK teams, Dagestan's, Major Pride, and then it was just down to No Mercy Warriors. Though, we mentioned third parties. This one in the replays of KASIK team, so important to just carve some space on the western side, but No Mercy Warriors did come in blasting right after.
Yeah, unless you dislodge them from a position of power where Gladiators is, then all of the teams on that west side have a very rough time, as you were mentioning there. KASIK had Gatka for the majority of this time, and they realized they had to do something bold, something brash to try and get out of there, because the distance between Gatka and then these two compounds in the north, it's so open, so you've got to be making big plays to try and make that work, in which they did, as No Mercy Warriors eventually had this shack, and eventually were just... They were bled out slowly here. MADBULLS knows that they don't have to assert too much dominance over this position to eventually make sure that No Mercy Warriors has no room to work with.
And I really like what Frozen was doing this game. He was clearly trying to enable the team to just be safe to secure this chicken dinner. He just got to that slope just in front of the entirety of No Mercy Warriors, and with the use of utility, just keeping them pinched in that position, just blocked in one small corner, and then the blue zone pushed in. They were just trying to play the against the clock at that time, and they were just able to get it off the back of that. So Frozen, very important to just pinch them against the blue zone and make sure they get a relatively easy win in that position, as they were the only team against them at the end.
It's looking like a scary start to the day, because we are seeing those usual suspects get themselves victories. Let's take a look at the overalls then and see what's going on. MADBULLS and Major Pride head to head, neck and neck, but MADBULLS extends a lead with this victory here. 76 points versus the 58 from them, and Gladiators with 48 in third.
Yeah, it's going to start to be a pretty big lead. It's going to be happening for MADBULLS, because we saw it happen in the first Sanhok, right? Not Frozen, what I said, Zerich able to just survive in a top 3 finish, here able to get himself the win. You're always seeing their survival time being so high, which is very scary when they were already in the lead when it comes to PMGC points. I mean, it's still not a bad day for Major Pride and Gladiators in Phase 3, but the fact that MADBULLS are significantly ahead, it is a bit scary entering into that. So intrigued to see what's going to be changing up, though. No Mercy Warriors on the first page doesn't happen very often. They're blasting out of control.
Yeah, this has to be the highest they've ever been in the leaderboard so far. So awesome to see here from No Mercy Warriors. Hopefully they can continue this on, because again, it's no small feat to be able to come off the backside of Everest and try and make a game of that, to be perfectly frank. So good stuff by them. Here's TUNA and VIRTUS.PRO with the 1 each. And as we move down towards what is the barrier in 13th place, KASIK team with a few points there, trying to even up the scores against 12th place here, Max, which is very important.
Still haven't seen KONINA Power rise up, and actually VULGAR boys have fallen off since yesterday, so that's a bit unfortunate. So they are teams that are going back to their old places, which is not the best to see entering in phase 3.
That's right, that's right. Well, a huge thank you to Monster for joining us here for PMPL EU Fall as they keep us fueled and good to go. They're also fueling the 2 military-trained dolphins that we've got casting for you who are able to intricately displace and dislodge limpet mines. It's Jackie and Blank.
That's right. That's 100% correct. You've leaked all of this top-sensitive information, though, Kalaris. The government will now pull funding for the dolphins on land mission. Blank,
yes.
We've got to find a different job. It's over.
Yeah, we do. I'm actually just wearing a skin suit right now.
Yeah. It's kind of like a wetsuit, but for dolphin people.
Yeah.
We put them on and then we stay dry.
Yeah. It's kind of the difficulty while we're casting this is why we get a little bit excited when we're casting tuna.
Our dorsal fins just pop out. It's a nightmare.
It's a good thing we're not on camera basically for that when that does happen. But yeah, we'll be heading over towards Miramar now. Thanks, Kalaris. I won't be disarming any limpet mines on this.
I can't believe it.
I
I know. He's out us. He's thrown our jobs away, and no longer can I be a dolphin in peace. Which
it's the only reason there's no red zones on this map. It's because of us. Okay? Why would you do this?
all that work we did, deep sea diving, you know, swimming around, nose punting, mines out the way, because we don't have hands. We just had to punt them as hard as we could with our nose. Our nose, bro. This, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. It's ridiculous. It's a good one for you, though. Did you know that dolphins tend to go through trends? It's been commonly observed in the scientific maritime community that you could see various packs of dolphins throughout months of the year doing different things collectively, like they will play volleyball, but with seaweed, they'll pass it to one another, or sometimes even going as far as rocking boats with their noses for fun.
That sounds great.
There you go, dolphin facts.
That's my favourite pastime.
Yeah.
That
was me and you.
I'm on the rocking boat trend right now.
Whenever Kalaris is in a boat, I'm there underneath, just bopping it with my nose. Have that. Have that.
We're going to rock the boat a little bit now as we head over towards Miramar. Immediately, we've already got one player going down right off the bat, though. So it's kind of crazy, actually, what we're seeing. El Pozzo over towards that western side, too. This is where Circle's going to be landing. We've got Dark Project heading over there nice and early to MUERTE. Likely to head down towards Montino, but they did drop out. We've got another player going down. So that's to MUERTE as well as Alpha Team, both losing players right off the bat. Looks like Alpha has dropped directly on top of Titans. That's a bad move. You don't want to drop on Titans. They know what they're doing on a hot drop.
Drop on Titans never ends well, mate. For someone, either Titans are getting ruined or you're getting ruined. But 100% of the time, someone will get Titaned.
It's not good. It's not what you want to happen to yourself. And Alpha Team has taken a fight with a team that, look, they love it. They love this kind of gameplay. They're all for it at the end of the day, and they're still in this position. So I'd love to see what exactly is happening there right now. See if Alpha Team can actually come back out on top, or maybe get themselves even an elimination, because right now they are just survival mode.
Well, here we go. We've conjured it up inside of our crystal ball. The same crystal ball that Max uses for all of his predictions, the cheeky man, alongside Predictron, of course, the #1 predicting robot. And it's brought us here for the fight that Blank was asking for, Titan taking on Alpha to start this one off. A standoff that probably will result in a fairly exciting shake-up. If you've got time before it does all kick off, though, of course, head over to the socials that flashed up on screen and stay on top of everything PUBG Mobile related. Old boy's already getting a bit antsy. I can see it in his body language, Blank. He wants to scrap.
Bored. Need to fight right now. That's what boredom does to you.
There you go. That is the classic. That's the curse of old boy.
It's the curse of old boy that keeps coming back, and I feel like Titans just cannot get away from it. They need to get a bit of a curse removal action in here. Get someone in there to do a little bit of a ritual over towards old boy. Or at least sprinkle some magical instruments around the room to keep him safe.
Just fill his house with rainmakers.
Yeah,
Every time he tries to go for a fight, they start going... whoosh. He's like, oh,
I'm calm.
It's raining.
That'd be perfect. It is just connected to his phone by a little bit of string.
That's what I mean. Anytime he goes to do something aggressive, like the Rainmakers start sounding off in the team house, everyone hears it. They're like, oh boy, no!
Stop! Either way, unfortunate way to start the fight there for Titans. They really had it down to rights as well. That's mean. Why are we taking out the vehicle? You could use that later on.
No, he really hates Herbie, and that car is actually Herbie.
Okay.
He's not a fan. Yeah, not a fan. Look, see?
Winnie versus Herbie. I like it.
I mean, that
doesn't deserve it.
I know, this is awful now. I've given feelings to the vehicle.
It hurts.
Oh, blank. I can't, this isn't acceptable. This isn't YouTube allowed, surely.
Yeah, this is inappropriate. Over towards the western side, though, I mean, this fight is just going to continue. We know how the Titans work. We know how they operate. We're going to have Gladiators, which was La Cobrilla, playing in water treatment as well as Crater Fields at the moment. So they're pretty happy with their positioning. Should be able to get towards a good spot nice and early. I think both these teams are likely to go down in the top 16 to 10th. I don't think that Titans or Alpha are going to get a good result off the back of this one. Nexus, I'd like to see them moving quite quickly from Impala. But with MADBULLS not in the game, No Mercy Warriors were able to pick up Porto Paraíso. So they should have a fairly easy rotate up towards that western side as well, the western road, purely because MUERTE also down a player. So this could be a game for No Mercy Warriors, in fact.
And I like the fact, you know, we're starting to really prove that No Mercy Warriors have been doing better and better over these play days, especially today as well. They've been present in quite a few of our final circles already, which have made it relatively exciting. It's giving us a new glimpse on potentially, you know, some of the new hotness, some of the new players that have been sort of lurking around in the mid portions of our standings, now are finding an opportunity to push it a little bit further. And it's cool. It's really nice to see some of that personality shining through. You know, we got a glimpse of it with TUNA, with Obito starting to feel like he's stealing the limelight a bit. I like a bit of Obito. After seeing him today and some of the plays he was making yesterday as well, Blank, I've become a bit of a fan. I like him. I like the way that he kind of, you know, takes this sort of swagger into a lot of these fights. It's cool. I think Obito is becoming like a new Foops man.
Yeah, it could be. Could be. Honestly, I would agree with you. I think a lot of the fights that he goes for, he's very much selfish in terms of his playstyle. I even saw it on that Sanhok where he just jumped out the window. He's like, I'm not going for the Resist boys. I'm looking for the nade. All right, I'm going for the big plays, which is always fun to see. So I think for TUNA, certainly there is new things on the horizon for them in the future. We'll see how that goes. Unicorn to Love attempts to make their way in. Shockwave just the south side of them.
And Shockwave, weirdly, on the other side of the coin, seem to feel like one of the squads that maybe we're not seeing as much of today, and a little bit less as well, even yesterday, compared to the average, potentially. Curious what's going on for Shockwave, as it felt like they were improving quite steadily, starting to give us a lot more to root for. Aza was having some big games. This could be a bit of an interesting one, though. Major Pride scouting out early. Effect, as he's just on the move, driving in with a vehicle, looking to try and bait out the shots, maybe lulled into a false sense of security that actually it is clear that the compound's not going to have anyone hiding. But you've got PERMITTA hiding inside the downstairs building. Oh, Rogo up on the roof. Had all the time in the world to be ready for the play. Fluffed his lines, though. That's a big blunder.
I think PERMITTA's tried this before as well, but versus MADBULLS, I think it was last time. Didn't check the angles, didn't check the doors, and with them revealing himself, it will mean that PERMITTA's just going to have to get away here. You talked about Shockwave. I think it's an interesting point to bring up as well, because I do think that Shockwave is a team that did very well on Miramar, purely because they were denying and combating a lot of the rotations coming through from other teams. I think a lot of teams started to play around that, started to avoid Shockwave a lot, allow them to take space on north sides, and just basically leave them up there to their own devices. And it's led to Shockwave just kind of not find that same success because teams just aren't playing into them any longer.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the change of just not being able to play their play style that was working as much as they're just not being given those opportunities by other squads, with them being able to kind of get their number a bit. Now it's to tread water around them, not run the risk of running into them and giving anything up for free on this one. Let's having a look as well in terms of the teams we've got here, where some of these rotates are coming from, where a few of our bigger names are as well. Okay. Nothing too out of the ordinary, other than the fact, again, NEXUS actually already inside of the zone blank.
Yeah.
NEXUS, it's been a complete night and day shift from the way they were playing to the team that we're now starting to see. Yeah, all right, it's not been like, you know, mind-blowing in the way that the games have been going for them, but I'm glad there's been some at least adaptation. It goes to, you know, show well. It's good optics from them that at least they're looking to change now and playing a bit more confidently in these games.
Yeah, it's pleasing to see them like take a bit more precedent in these matches, right? Because I think it has been a few times where they just have refused to get into the circle itself, played further towards the edge with the circle not really supporting that, now taking it towards Major Pride, a very difficult team to fight out against as well. Dino's down. That is 3 out of the 4 members from Major Pride now out. Only NEXUS suffering the one single knock, and Naomi takes a massive hit as well, and Octavian's just going to hold him as the rest of NEXUS starts to encircle his position. Difficult stuff.
If they find this cleanly, without losing anyone here, if you're able to get out of this, just content with the fact that you've completely wiped away Major Pride, or even if only Naomi survives, not the end of the world for them. But this is pretty clean. The most important bit is that they've done this without casualties, right? A lot of these fights from NEXUS that we're seeing, they hit their shots flying. Weirdly, pound for pound, it feels like they're actually able to win most of the opening duels, even go as far as, like in this situation, knock 3 of the players, but then something goes wrong and it very quickly unravels. Here, you love the fact that they've taken out 3 players, but they've done so cleanly. No knockback onto them, no casualties. Any damage that was established can be quite quickly buffed out. So that's really nice. That was good from NEXUS. There were nice connections actually as well with the aim that we were seeing come across. And again, that's not an easy squad to take down. That's Major Pride that you've just dismantled. So fair play. NEXUS, that's great.
Yeah, with the past 2 matches that we saw, Major Pride were making it towards those top positions. I think it was first place over on Sanhok. You know, they got, I think it was a 4th place there on Miramar, on Erangel, sorry. So it's actually really decent play coming through from Major Pride today, and NEXUS just being confident there to take them down. No easy feat, like you said. So good amount of confidence there from NEXUS. They are inside the circle. They're in not a bad position, currently holding down on that ridge side, so they should be able to get some more eliminations over towards teams like Titans, Alpha, KONINA Power, and even No Mercy Warriors down towards the south side. PERMITTA Esports currently holding on to San Martin itself. So good spot to be in for them. MUERTE not likely going to try and take too many engagements this early on, with them losing a player right at the beginning of the game.
Gladiators on the move. And again, I think this is one of the cool things that we're starting to see so consistently now from Gladiators is the pace of these rotates to have the best possible setup that they feel comfortable in terms of playing around a lot of these zones. They're not leaving anything up to chance anymore. Sometimes it felt like Gladiators would play off the back of situations that other teams would force them into. Now they're the ones setting the trend. They're the ones that really are sort of, you know, hard stuck on saying, we're going to make the play that is best for us, and everything else can just sort of fall in around it. You love to see it. Gladiators have already been looking so good. If there's room for improvement on top of that, it will be wonderful to watch just what sort of heights they can get to. Foops man here, kind of having a bit of a solo hero play. He's in the thick of it. He's right up against all of VP basically, and as soon as the squad's able to play off each other's contact, they just rip their way through him. Elementrix gets out with his head down as well, so he'll be able to survive on this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good there from Elementrix and VIRTUS.PRO. Certainly not having the worst of tournaments so far. I mean, they're consistently up there, which is the main thing. Wagnerzada tries to get in, does get taken shots at there over by SBG. Ruda is going to try and back them off here. One good place nade could be the decider on this engagement. GG not GG just heads towards the shack. So already there is one player down in Wagnerzada, not likely to get him back up again. Wait is in a bit of a difficult spot though. You know, fully visible, Good shots there from Ruda. Will take down GG, not GG. Terminus tries to run him down. Doesn't work out. Attempts to get away. I think likely from this position now, Terminus should be going down. They've got all the cover in the world to work with.
Oh, mate. Terminus should surely be terminated here. It's just such an uncomfortable position to fight from. His teammates would have to bail him out massively, and Aza trying his damnedest, roaming around, looking for an opportunity to catch Ruda off guard with the peek. He does find success on the first. Instantly commits to the heal as well, so he's got time. The mechanics were pretty crisp. Might be able to top himself back up and continue forcing this issue. Oh, Terminus still holding on, barely. Fingertip level gameplay here as he's trying to clutch on to this ledge he's slipping from. He's got backup from Aza, but he needs to swoop down. He's got to force back out of position, give him an opportunity to break through this defense and start to move on up. They've got to play off each other here.
Aza finally finds Beck. He's just been running rampant over towards his hillside, finally taken down, but Aza the Laser was an absolute killer during this engagement. Elementrix now last player remaining for VIRTUS.PRO. So unfortunate. SBG with some great high ground coverage towards his position. You got Titans, Gladiators, as well as PERMITTA Esports, all mixed up in the action towards Power Grid.
Feeding off the power lines, using that electricity to really go for some high power plays. Meanwhile, SBG shutting down Terminus finally. So Shockwave do go down as our first squad to fully fall here. But look at the damage across the board. So many of our squads already losing one player from the mix. Far worse for wear, though, are two huge names in both VP and Major Pride. So they're down to just a solo at this point already. You can see one of them on screens here, and Elementrix, he's being swung on by SPG. If the bullets didn't take him out, the bonnet of the car probably would have, and that's the end for VIRTUS.PRO.
Unfortunate there for VIRTUS.PRO. Elementrix finally going down. Did a good job for himself, honestly, to get as far as he did. Nexus still maintaining control over towards this ridge side. And they do have sightlines over towards SBG. Alex able to get out of there. I think it's nice that they're actually fielding Alex now as well on that team. Alongside Narvalo, who is working out well. I think he had some pretty big moments over towards Africa versus EU in the clash. But just wasn't given much field time over here in PMPL EU itself.
Aces. We've been singing his praises for Dark Project. He's definitely been one of the standout players on the side when he's given an opportunity. Thrives in those moments of sheer carnage, it seems. Here, though, it's a little bit calmer. Obviously just setting up, positioning, basically trying to establish yourself in terms of the body language for how far you want to take this one. With quite a few squads already suffering some heavy hits, the longer this game goes on, the more interesting it's potentially going to get here. Some trades popping up in the Elim feed as we see the movement coming in from SBG that want to close the gap up towards where Titan are. Alpha, in the meantime, have expired, and it seems like a similar sort of equation has happened there for MUERTE as well, suffering a lot of damage, bringing them down to just 2 players. So for MUERTE, could be a bit of a nightmare. SBG, though, in living hell right now, as they've run into TUNA.
Yeah, they just didn't get a good start off to their game there, did MUERTE. So it's nice to see that they're still trying to hold down as much as possible, but losing a player will definitely bring down their ability to continue through. SPG not actually having a bad game whatsoever. I think extricating themselves from that high ground is really important. Versus Nexus, who had some good sightlines over towards them. But we are centering up towards Power Grid, a really, really cool little finish for a lot of these teams. Difficult to do. A lot of sneaky little areas these teams can find themselves in.
Nexus up on the ridge. Finding that one at least. I wonder how far Nexus are going to go on this. They're looking pretty good right now, man. I mean, 8 eliminations to their name. Every time we tune into a fight with them, it's looking that 5% quicker, that 5% more precise as well with the way they're playing it. This is nice. I'm feeling maybe there's a chance here for Nexus to do something big on this one.
They could do. I think from the southeast side, sorry, it's quite difficult. And I mean, me dropping here a few times, I just know the problems with this spot is it's very open as you try to move towards that northwest, which feels like where we're going. I think Gladiators right now playing just underneath power grid. It's a bit open for them, but I think with Gladiators being so good recently on Miramar, this could be a team that can take this game all the way. The teams around them, it's like Titans, PERMITTA, Major Pride, Solo, including Unicorns of Love. There's a lot of ground that I think Gladiators could feasibly cover in this match.
Well, there you go. Gladiators,
the believer
on the chopping block. Yeah, man, you got to give it to them, Nexus. I can see the way that they're setting themselves up. They're rolling with the punches today. They're looking good. They're looking hot. We'll see if it'll turn into an inferno or if the flames will be snuffed out by the Gladiators. No surprises there, though. I can see why they've won everyone's favor. They are a mean-looking squad right now. Gladiators really have only been going higher and higher like a balloon full of helium.
It's never coming down. Kid's upset. What are you meant to do? It's over. But for Gladiators, you're right. They're an absolute menace recently. Changing things up. Coach coming in, telling everyone that, oh yeah, we're just playing at 40% power right now. It's ridiculous.
It is wild. But they've been proving it right with the way they've been playing, man. Slowly increasing that power level game by game. TUNA. Unfortunately, the main man, the wonder child in Obito, not going to be able to steal the spotlight and do something dazzling on this one. Leaves it up to the rest of the squad. Zero, though, statistically one of the better players for TUNA, looking to pack a punch as he'll swing off of Purple's contact. And they look good for the shutdown, at least, being able to handedly deal with the squad that was firsting on top of them. Quick move back around, setting their focus to where Noshi's already been hit by the bonnet of SBG. And they start to put some bullets down range. This is not going to get any easier for TUNA. You're in the thick of it right now. You are in the spin cycle.
You are in the spin cycle. It's bad times, all right? We've not even put any washing up liquid in there either, so it's not going to be a soft tumble. TUNA looking over towards SBG. Great shots already. Purple doing fairly well for himself. TUNA, though, down to just that solo in purple is a bit awkward. Gladiators find themselves dead center. Titans are close by. A team that could really ruin your whole day here, Jackie. But Nexus, 8 eliminations, with Octavian still holding down towards KONINA Power on the high ground, hoping to hold them out as they try and move in. Man, it could be a Nexus game. They're warm.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, they're looking good right now. And one of the most important bits is just feed that hot hand. Keep rolling with the punches. Try and keep that level of confidence soaring. And you can see Octavian, he's been taking all of these encounters in his stride again and again and again. For TUNA, though, like you said, it's only one man that remains. Purple, ooh, tried to take the fight. Was ready quick on the draw, at least. Nice opening damage done, but just couldn't sustain it. So finally finished off. The fish has been speared and taken away on that one. Ooh. Bit of fighting going on here, though, up close and personal from both Unicorns of Love and Dark Project. With also Nexus finding an opportunity to thrust themselves onto the Elim feed, taking pot shots onto SBG from quite far away. Pretty big split, though. You can see on the mini-map there of just how far away they are from one another. And it starts to get a bit awkward. Playzone nipping at the heels of Octavian. Ooh, maybe things are getting worrying.
I think Octavian, he's kind of gone for the sacrificial lamb play where he holds out KONINA Power for as long as possible. Dark Project, though, comes through. Unicorns of Love will be taken out in a blink of an eye. But yeah, KONINA Power was going to be a problem later on in terms of their rotation, so Nexus leaves Octavian behind. I do think there's a world where he can get out from that spot. Wasn't necessarily a position or a hill that he had to die on. So for Nexus, they are down to 3, but still in a fairly decent bit of terrain to work out from going forward. Gladiators just have a lot of space around them. This is not exactly easy to work with, but if anyone's can do it, it is Gladiators themselves.
All right, this is rough territory to be in for Nexus now. You're fighting Titan. They saw the opportunity to swoop in and hard commit onto Kapahala. So he's eaten some tires. It did not taste nice, and he's gone now for good. EXO, meanwhile, dropping on the deck and ready to try and hold off the incoming assailants, realizing it's not just Titan. You are so close to so many other squads, all of them just on the horizon of taking pot shots at you. So if he hard commits to the peak, you're exposing yourself to those angles further back where Dark Project are as well. So he can't quite do a lot here to hold off Titan Gaming that are right in his face, with Robs and co playing on the angles. Not looking good for Nexus now. It's gone from bad to worse the longer this one goes on. They just throw out an abundance of utility to potentially buy them something to play off. Just near misses though, not quite giving them any blessings.
Yeah, they're just trying to cut their way into the circle, right? If they get a little bit of damage, fantastic. They go a bit further, fantastic. Top 8, obviously, not where they want to finish them off. They have already got themselves a fair load of eliminations. I think it's 9 total right now. Robs, though, will step up. Titans potentially get themselves back into a 3-man here. The only 2 4-man squads at the moment being Gladiator as well as Dark Project. Gladiators can now, with this circle, start to clean up, start to broom away these teams towards the south side, KONINA Power and PERMITTA Esports.
Okay, Gladiators here in the Gulch. Defensive utility being used here as a tool to shroud this side, block off some of the lines of sight and give an angle to advance further forward for KONINA Power. Teasing it somewhat. They've got the vehicle for the rotation. Park that just ahead of the smoke. Give it some cover to play with. Meanwhile, the swoop down on the last man from Nexus has finally been committed to. So Titan tying up any loose ends, not allowing that one to come back and trip them up later. But KONINA Power unexpectedly split on this one and instead starts to set their focus on some of the fights. I mean, Aphis was right there. It looked like he was directly on top of them. The vehicle went for the rotate back around. You've got the split here from PERMITTA as well. Oh, some of these fights in the next few moments are going to be dicey, Blank.
Yeah, fantastic balloon pop over towards Palucci. Very necessary because right now Gladiators desperately need to get rid of KONINA Power because they don't want to be facing off against 2 teams looking their way with them as well as PERMITTA. You question whether Gladiators even know PERMITTA is playing up here because Tixi gets sprayed upon, which gives time for KONINA Power potentially to get back into this one. Matic has his eyes towards Athis, though. He has to move forward. The blue is at his back. He needs to be hitting these shots. Steps up. He has the chance available. Will get it done. He's far away from the rest of his team. Nasty nades from off Hayes. But there it is. Matic really clean with it here. Continues to be the big man on the squad.
Yeah, Matic is so damn clean. Just stick with it. Look at him. He's haphazard, but he's always so on point. Just mowing them down. Matic able to reset as well. Wait for the rest of the team. You don't have to force the issue on this one. You've got time. You've got spacing to play with. Sneaks. He's doing exactly that. Just keeping his belly down to the ground, staying out of trouble in terms of the positioning. Now has to move with his own coming in. The second he peaks, evaporates there, as Matic does not miss a shot.
Matic is going full pre-Princess Cinderella right now because he's cleaning this entire lobby up. It's sort of insane. It's lovely to see. Titans off in the distance, got further in this game than we ever expected them to. Dark Project also with their full 4. We had questions about them earlier today, asking whether they could get this all done, get it locked down with the current composition they're running with. They've got 5 eliminations. They're not doing too bad, but they've been towards this area for a long, long time. Naomi. He's in the old alley. He's just living this one out. I said that Major Pride wouldn't be making it towards the top 5 position. Mate, I was wrong.
It's insanity that Naomi's been able to keep his nose clean and stay alive in a fairly good position to maybe squirrel something away from this game as well. When, you know, you think back to when the whole squad was wiped, that was against Nexus ages ago. Absolutely eons ago in terms of this battleground overall. That's wild, you know, great smart heads-up play from him to just think about the long game, think about the potential of getting some extra points, because Major Pride, they're going to be content if they can steal anything extra. It would be a cherry on top of the chicken dinner, but it's been denied.
I mean, to be honest with you, Matic this game has been absolutely unreal, right? He has been from a different dimension. The shots he's been hitting feel otherworldly. With that shot from Naomi, usually Naomi's very clean with, right? He's not a bad player. Should have easily been able to take down Matic. He sidesteps, flicks onto him, doesn't let the rest of his team clean it up. He does it for him. So really, really well done to Matic. He's still going strong. He's going to send a nade out, maybe find a good amount of damage. Even Neska takes a headshot instantaneously.
Uh-oh. This is starting to seem like Titan have maybe played the long con for just the right amount of time. They're hitting some of their shots and they start to swoop in. Gladiators, though, opted to play further back, creating space and using the range advantage now with just how good they've been at laser beaming with some of these rifles. Matic, oh, he's crumbling. Stepping up close and personal, but unable to deal with Dark Projects, so he crumbles. Havlik lights them up on the response and throws us into this. An absolute clash. Titan versus Gladiators now in the last stand down to see who takes the chicken dinner on this one.
They're flying in. They see all the knocks in the elimination feed. They get up close and personal. Tixi is down once again. Rob's up front and center with the nade. Could be over here. Meku has to hold on. Matic healing up. MG3 has to go huge with this one.
He's armed and dangerous. The nade is on point. The first man's gone.
Titans.
Follow-up's huge. He's absolutely slaughtered them. And they secure the chicken dinner. That's a snatch away that you didn't expect. Titan Gaming back on the block.
I mean, realistically, that should have been a Gladiators game right there. Titans losing a player early on. Old boy was bored. The rain shakers came in full effect for the rest of the team. They calmed it down. No pressure on them. What a fantastic match, Jackie. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was going to be over as soon as we saw the stubborn play towards Alpha Team. You know, I'm blurred out because that game for me was a blur towards that end game. Like, how did Titans win?
I don't know. That's insane. Like you said, right? Old boy, literally the first casualty of the game. Normally, that's where things don't recover. But Titan took it all in their stride, played that one perfectly. That's an insane steal on the chicken dinner there. Yeah. Let's get back to the desk and really enjoy this one.
This was a power ending. Yeah. Wow. I cannot believe what we just watched here, actually. Icy and the boys over at Titan. I mean, they had 2 MG3s. We saw another MG3 on the other side here, Max, but Titan is able to scarper out 21 points here, considering Gladiators actually had a really strong spot in the south.
It's the MG3 showdown. It's been happening at the end. There's so many MG3. Like, are they swapping the MG3 between players? No, they had multiple MG3s. They're just like blasting off at the very end. And yeah, Titan, we keep saying it, that we want to see them survive long into the game, get those wins, and they were able to do it. And there were so many steps, Kalaris, to how Titan got in that position. They were in a dip initially versus Dark Project and Nexus. They just completely sweep the entirety of Nexus, and then they go for the great third party versus Dark Project and Gladiators. The timings were so on point. And Havlik too, I think, an unsung hero of this game, just controlling those ridge lines. I'm loving what we're seeing from Titan. They've clearly been changing things in the background. Just stop Old Boy from fighting early and we'll be good.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, given the scenario on this kind of terrain, as we take a look at the numbers across the teams, and by the way, Nexus was blasting down towards the bottom, who defeated Major Pride early on in this game, which was awesome to see, is this terrain, actually, there's so many little dips you can hide in for quite a while on that east side of Power Grid, right? So for Titan to be able to understand that terrain as well as they do and then be able to play it out, I've got to take my hat off to them, Max. I think they played an excellent game here.
Yeah, and they even held on to their utility a little bit longer in that game, because even though it's a high ground for Gladiators, you have a little bit of a dip, which makes it very prone to nade damage. So they just chucked it over, trying to keep them controlled in that one small area, and played it really well there. As we go over the highlights, we had a lot of early game action as we were getting pushed towards Power Grid. Though I would like to see more action from PERMITTA, and you mentioned it, Kalaris, while we were watching that game. One of the most passive teams. If they were willing to go for a fight, you have the third party, KONINA Power versus Gladiators, and by doing so, you clear all of the West. But Matic, as a solo, clears all of PERMITTA because they're just not willing to take that fight.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand to a degree why they're sat there just waiting for the circle to collapse and kind of weighing up their options, but you do have to be a bit more proactive when coming out of somewhere like Power Grid. Like, when I say that, I mean just taking fight earlier before it really collapses down, and then you're playing edge, and then you're being pressed by the blue, and then you've got no choice, right, about when the fights occur, and teams have choice against you. But I mean, it's a hard nut to crack. It's not easy to do something like that. So we can sort of let them off, but not really. It's difficult.
I'm not letting them off. I'm more.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, I'm angry. No, just hopefully they can see that and understand there was an opportunity and they got to strike while the iron is hot. But other than that, yeah, great game from your Gladiators, great game from your Titan, and Nexus maybe a little bit of a comeback because we said it a bit earlier, right, Kalaris? They have been a bit silent, which is unfortunate. We know what this team can pull off, so it's good to see some presence, especially that wide wrap northeast when leaving their high ground on those rocks is really tough because KONINA Power's down below. You got a lot of teams like Gladiators, KONINA Power look in your direction. The wide wrap to the east, getting to that high ground that is down to terrain knowledge mainly, it was a really strong play to try and get the win, but transitioning away from that because of the circles after was very tough.
Well, let's check in with the overalls here after that game and see what's going on, because we have got ourselves quite the shift up for Titans once again, and also Gladiators, to be fair, who have been able to take second and third respectively. It's very close up there at the moment between these four, doing fantastic work themselves, and then beyond that, there is a bit of a barrier forming between that fourth and fifth.
Yeah, you've got the big three and you've got the fantastic five. That's I'm going to go with that so far. But,
okay.
I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with some cool names for the guys. But SPG. Cool. On the top page, I mean, we know they are a team that usually is good when it comes to playing on Miramar. They had some decent eliminations here as they were sweeping the northern side. More presence from other players than Novalo and Victor, actually, which I was happy to see that on the northern fights. It's just, it's going to be tough when you're getting pushed away from the edge of the circle with these kind of terrains. So it was a bit of a struggle bus at the end. No, still not big movement, though. Nexus finally out of the bottom four. That is one big change that we're happy to see.
Yeah, looking down the charts, there was our Super 16, and here's our terrific 20, as we have, unfortunately, the Nameless, only with 4 points on the board. With only one elim so far for the Nameless, they have looked nigh on invisible for the most part. But anyway, Max, before we actually move on to our next match, we've got TDM on the way. Blank and Jackie gonna bring us the action.
The #1 Accione will be coming your way right here with the TDMA. How are you ready for this one, Blank? Are you prepared?
I am very prepared for semi-final, the half final. Titan. Wait.
No, see, I told you it'd be a quarterfinal. You've jumped ahead of yourself, Blank. You've forgotten that they need an opponent. So obviously it would be match 14, Nexus Gaming versus KASIK team. Blank.
Quadruple final. I don't want to do the quadruple final. It's KASIK team versus Nexus. That should be exciting. KASIK, obviously, very strong team in terms of those engagements, those fights. Nexus feel a little bit more confident. Well, play this one out.
I think this will be a bit of fun, actually. Yeah, I like the matchups we're getting. I think that's the one fun thing, right, that you kind of take away from a lot of these TDMs is that we do get some cool matchups in terms of the teams that enjoy a bit of fragging, enjoy getting out there and scrapping, and we're seeing more and more of that. KASIK team, no strangers to that side of things, and honestly, for Nexus, this is probably pretty good for them, Blank. You know, they are starting to get thrown into fights a lot more commonly in our battleground, so maybe they can show us where some of those improvements have been going in terms of the gun skill right here, right now.
Personally, I think that is a great couple of teams to go head-to-head in a team deathmatch because both teams have some real MVP-style players on side. I mean, Redox as well as Doran, extremely strong. Trofka as well as English. Ooh, I'm excited. I don't think they're even fielding Doran. Where is Doran? Bring my man back.
There you go. That's a Max Man meme for next week. Finding Doran.
That's what I need. I need Finding Doran to be out right now. I don't want to forget Doran.
Just keep pubbing. Just keep pubbing.
Yeah, pretty much.
That'd be the classic.
Poor guy is like in a solo match by himself right now.
He sat there watching the stream. He's like, yeah, no, I wish I was in the game, actually. They say that I can't play the TDM. I'm not allowed. Nightmare.
The band. No, that's your teammate.
Ooh.
Whew.
Bit of a slower start on this one. Actually, considerably slower start than a lot of the other TDMs we've seen in terms of just duking it out, basically. This was kind of a game of chicken to see which squad would first instigate the pushes. That was Nexus. They went for the mid push. Wow. Didn't work out well. It continued to not work out too well in some of these fights, actually. KASIK team looking pretty damn mean with some of the rifles. They're playing some interesting angles as well, Blank. A lot more defensive. This is a slower, more stable game of TDM than we had for recent games.
I mean, yeah, Trofka just rinsed them with the SKS there. Gonna do it again. Not quite finishing it off there, but 7-6. That went from a 4-1 lead for Nexus. Quite quickly back towards the guys on KASIK team. It's been an interesting start. Octavian currently with the 4 eliminations, the highest on side. Nice nade from Trofka. Feels like he's very much carrying the team right now. There's some very good stuff. Nade goes through. English takes a nasty hit, and Octavian swings through with the M1014. Won't get anything done though, just slides straight into his grave.
Ooh, hello. Redox. Reloss.
Not on.
Yeah, he's gone. He's been taken out. Severed.
Yeah. Reload on that.
Oh, mate. Starting to turn the pace up a little bit on this one now, actually. Running in a whole lot more aggressively. KASIK team still got a good grasp on the game, though, leading by a fair few points on this one so far with the elims. Being able to play a bit of a slower approach with it. Okay, here comes the aggression from Nexus. Nice nade. Kapahala, even in TDM, still finding opportunities to show up with the nades.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff there. I mean, that's a cheeky angle that I've not seen before. I actually banked it between the old blocks. Got it to bounce on the outside. Feels like maybe Kapahala as well as Nexus, the only eliminations they're going to get. He's through the nades itself. Octavian managed to find his way up ramp in towards mid. Now Trofka just holding a nade in his hand. 17-12. KASIK team starting to run away with this. 5 ahead. Trofka has been a mean machine with this SKS.
Yeah, he's been a bit of a nightmare, mate. Causing problems at every given opportunity with some of the pushes we're seeing go his way. 18-13 at the minute then. A little bit closer on the cards. English sideswipes the first. Not able to double down and get himself 2 picks on that though. Octavian, ooh, kind of being baited in for the fight, but smooth moves. Repeaks it as well. Actually pretty damn clean now. Nexus at least making a bit of a comeback on this one. Spawns have flipped on it. Octavian reads it like a book and goes for the instant flank. That could be so swift.
That is so nice, but he misses all of his shots there. Good movement from Trofka, just sidestepping the bullets. But yeah, he really did read them. Heard the footsteps coming through, instantly switched position. So, I mean, Octavian doing some fantastic stuff for the team. Right now leading with 9 eliminations, make that 10. Redox not found a single one. Like we said, needs a refresh.
That's crazy. You would have thought Redox would have been doing so much more. Normally, just stick with it, slick with it, able to punish at every given opportunity. But right here, right now in the TDM, he is just not hitting the money shots consistently. Oof. The nade, though, will be one to remember. Fragmenting the scoreline even further as this keeps on going. 25-24 now, though, as Redox, he's heard everything we've been saying, and he doesn't take too kindly to it. Proves us wrong with the shotgun as he pops off for 2 and keeps the scoreline that bit closer. Dangerously close to our final 10 elims of the game now, though.
Yeah, I think he was very much not wanting to end the game with 0 eliminations. Almost tied up now between both teams. Octavian doesn't take too much of a big hit. Spots the player with the nade. Good little swing through, but it won't be enough as Trofka once again absolutely going mad. Insane towards this mid side.
The nades barraging down from KASIK team. Holding on to that lead by the fingertips. Trofka, 10 elims. Meanwhile, in the camp of Nexus, this Octavian that's been beating his chest and proving that he can be so damn sick with 10 elims of his own. Or could be a few more to be added to that total tally. Trofka waiting for the push here. is he'll be ready for the strike. He's been so crisp with the SKS up close and personal like this as well. Hits the first to engage on a headshot, or has to convert it and eventually finds it.
So mean what Tropica's doing right now. He's finding so much success with that SKS. It feels brutal. Just waiting in that spot each time. Cheeky gameplay, but it's working. 5 eliminations ahead, 7 away from victory. Redox finds another, but a nade will finish him off. So close to the final 5 eliminations for KASIK team. Can Nexus bring this back before then? That's the question.
Slide peaks around the corner, only going so far. Unicorn on the hunt here as well. Hot on the heels of Redux. Meanwhile, Kapahala takes the full frontal assault with the shotgun, putting bullets down range. 37 to 31. KASIK team, knowing they're so close to winning this, don't want to drop it, don't want to fumble the bag. 2 more elims left to secure this one.
Almost there for KASIK team. Just a little bit more to go before they finish and head over the finals line. Trofka tries to do it in style. Redux will stop him, but it's 1 elimination. It feels like it's all in KASIK's hands now.
Ooh, taken down on a fadeaway. Nades pulled out though for Unicorn. That might be the difference maker. They just got to hit their shot to finish it. Final frag comes through. That's English that will secure the last blow and take that one with the victory there in the semi-finals. Well, quarterfinals rather, meaning they will move on to join one of our teams in the semi-finals. Waiting in the wings then as we get ever closer to the grand finals of our TDM. Okay, that's Titan side of the bracket as well, Blank.
Oh, I'm excited to see that one. Titan versus KASIK. I mean, we watch that pretty much every Sanhok. We'll watch it again right now as they head into Sanhok for the 2nd time today. But yeah, you can see why both these teams do make it all the way to those semi-finals. Great stuff, realistically, from both the teams. And KASIK did so well there versus Nexus. Redux just couldn't get started in that game. Octavian certainly was not the player I thought would step up in the biggest way there, but I'm glad he is. You know, he's one of the most long-standing members on that team, playing even back from Eastern Stars. So it's really nice to see him up there.
No, it's cool to see some of the shifts we're getting. I like that as well. That is cool that it worked out with the bracket having both Titan and KASIK team on the same side. So actually, sad bit is, imagine if that was the grand final. That's going to be one of our semi-finals, meaning only one of those 2 teams can move on. It really is like a, you know, like a metaphor for these Sanhok games, actually. Kind of crazy that that's what we've been given, Blank.
It's not going to take you to the finals, this Painan drop. That's for sure. It's going to cut you out, though, from the finals at this point. So I think both teams need to figure something out with this drop, how they want to go about it. But I just don't think they will. I think we could sing to the cows come home, and they will just not ever stop doing this hot drop over towards Painan. And, you know, I think there'll be people in chat, some very smart people, who tell me, Blank, this is not a hot drop. You know, Painan can hold 2 people. The difference is that these guys are dropping on the same side of Painan each time, with the emphasis on fighting. You can see, look right there, prove my point. Both got a player dead already.
Well, that's the thing. They're so stubborn and so convinced that it's the other team's dedicated spot that they do just drop on top of each other and look to literally actively steal that loot from underneath each other's noses mid-fight. Like, there's room for you to play it comfortably. They don't want none of that. They want to get in there and scrap in the arena time and time again. Cheeky shot. The Mac Daddy and Havlik, as he lights them up with the SMG, spraying his way through KASIK. So far, though, already you can see they've committed onto firsting some of these, because old boy, he's gone. He's a part of history now. Similar sort of story for KASIK team, but what's the best case you get away from this with 2, 3 of your players left alive again? Man, it's such a shame. Both of these teams are really good on Sanhok. I think they deliver some great games on the map when they've got longevity to play. It's rough watching them lose so many players early game with these consistent fights.
Yeah, it's just frustrating, you know, like Titans come off the back of that last game, getting themselves a chicken dinner, into this. Just feels like a waste, right? Just feels like a waste, bro. So, I don't know. Actually, Max is bringing some hot knowledge.
Max Theory. Okay, here we
Max
go.
Theory is that they think they're dropping there to bully KASIK out before championships. They are safe compared to KASIK for championship, so it makes sense. It's a smart play, actually. I thought he said, wow. And like he was like wowing at his own theory. He says now.
It's a smart play. Wow.
Wow, I can't believe I
doge,
figured
mate.
this out on the fly.
There you go, that'd be good. Max, but his face photoshopped onto a Doge, and it's got both of the rosters from Titan
Wow.
and KASIK team, and it just has words like wow, hot drop, space for two.
Yeah, perfect. That's exactly
good.
what we want.
We'll workshop that.
I'm pretty sure like the whole meaning of what Max said has got lost in translation there because we're both insane. So
look,
we'll
what
just
Max
let
is
him.
basically-
Okay, go on.
Yeah, well, what he's saying is literally just obviously they can keep bullying them on these drops where it's more beneficial for Titan to drop here and win the fights versus KASIK team or lose the fights versus KASIK team but still do damage to the roster so they're not getting points out of these games to make sure they're just gatekeeping them for champs. Basically, Titan, not too worried about not getting that many points. KASIK team, need point. You know?
Wow. Yeah, there you go. That's
there
a
you
pretty
go.
good breakdown, actually. And that means that if KASIK don't go to championships, Titans will just have Pinam for free. Ooh, Max Man.
Yeah, it's a good theory. Like, he's actually kind of summed it up pretty nicely on that one.
That's a game theory right there. Very enjoyable. I like that one a lot. Unicorns of Love, currently battling against TUNA every time also. These two teams are not fighting for championships. They're just fighting.
They just hate each other.
They just hate each other.
Hatred. Like, yeah.
There is a fierce competition between both these squads, which is always not so enjoyable to see. Can't believe this. Max has come up with a right banger there.
Look, these are great. We're pumping out all the ideas for the social media for Max. This is another one he can do. Max hooked into Cerebro from the X-Men, and it's just him thinking about all the potential storylines of PUBG Mobile.
He's got a new storyline as well. He says that no Turkish teams will want to fight Titans as they are so stubborn.
I mean, they are very stubborn. Yeah.
That is really reasonable as well. If I'm a Turkish team, I don't want to fight these guys either. And then he says, do I say smart stuff so rarely? Yes.
I like this. This is a good segment. Into the mind of Max.
X-Man.
Max's mind. This week on Max's mind.
We have to just explore the labyrinth that is his headspace. In the meantime,
Titan are gone.
Titan are gone.
That's what happens. That's what happens in a Max.
Why are you doing this to us? That's all I can think of when he's shooting at the death grave.
Ah! Just screaming. Old boy stood up from his phone. He's looked around the room. He's thrown his jersey on the floor, and he said, "It's my drop. It's my drop." All right. Anyway, TUNA.
Cracks me up.
Oh, look, they're in the blue. That's a joke about fish.
It's 0. Still killed me.
He's got his buckle. He's lost.
It's really killed me off. TUNA though versus Unicorns of Love is a difficult fight every single time. It was the first time in a while that we've actually seen Unicorns of Love be able to come out on top. But again, we've seen it before where 2v4 goes very wrong for Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, it's never one of those where it feels like even if it starts off cleanly, it's going to remain clean.
Yeah.
It's like eating a very messy dish. You know, at any point, it could be disaster and you could spill it. So let's hope that they can keep their shirts clean here for Unicorns of Love. Uh-oh. The sauce, it's 0.
That's 2, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of not what you want, but that's like the meatball drop down onto the white shirt instantly. It's only going to go worse from here.
Yeah, it rolls. It is terrible. But the whole stage marker, at least purple's been taken down, but MacVins, as well as Maxa, are both taking tick damage from the blue here. 0 looking to put that final nail in the unicorn-shaped coffin.
It'd have to be a huge coffin. horse-sized.
Horse-sized coffin.
Just with an extra little space for the horn. Or maybe just cut it off. It'll fit in the box. It'll be fine.
Oh, can't do that. It's not you.
You can get the magic powers from it, though, on the way out.
That is true,
you know?
yeah.
The horn magic.
Right, he's opened the door for him. What are you doing?
It was very polite. It was very polite.
Right, go on then. Just take me out.
It's like vampires, but they can't get in unless you open the door and invite them in yourself. That's where they've gone wrong. Yeah. It's the same thing with tuna. Not a lot of people know that.
No,
a fish can't actually enter your house unless you invite them in.
Without permission.
Yeah, they can't come in without permission. It's against the fish culture.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I've heard that as well. But yeah, again, 2v4, tuna versus unicorns. It goes horribly wrong. Slightly unfortunate there. Great play so from Zero once again. Really carrying the team on Tuna a fair few times. Lovely, lovely stuff. Just in that one engagement between them and Unicorns though.
Okay, Nexus on screens here. Recovering from a big bust-up they've had versus the Nameless. Seemed like a few blows side to side here for either of the teams. They can probably clean up on some of these knock players now, though. Meanwhile, we can tune back in, see what went down here with Titan and KASIK team, as this was Titan basically bit by bit just being handled by KASIK team, mate. Just on for good.
I'm glad they cut that final bit. Would have killed me off again. The replay team knows what they're doing. Thank you. Anyway, let's have a look at the map. What's going on here on Sanhok? This overall been a fantastic Sanhok. Very enjoyable so far. We don't see this circle very often either, to be honest. This is up towards Paris Resort. We've seen a lot of Northwest, a lot of South Islands. This is the first time we've seen up towards Paris Resort. Very confident that this is a game that KONINA Power can win. Trust me.
All right, maybe I will.
I'm predicting them right now.
Are you writing them down? He's putting them in the document. All right, here we go. Let's see if KONINA Power can do it.
I think they can. Honestly, this is what I think that this is probably KONINA Power's best circles. What do you think, Max?
Yeah, great circle actually. Really good for them. Thanks, Max.
C'est bon. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Max.
C'est la vie.
Oh, he said yes. He said yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. He said yes, and then he put croissant, and then a little croissant emoji. Reasonable. I would say.
The Max segment's back.
The Max segment is back
It
again.
never ends. It never ends. All day, all night. It's the Max segment.
I'm going to do some proper analysis now, though, for a little bit, because this Sanhok is
sorry, yeah,
proper analysis, because this Sanhok has divulged into something absolutely.
It's been outrageous.
It has been an outrageous Sanhok. Okay, so I apologise to everyone at home that was looking for some actual analysis. We've had a lot of laughs, we've had a lot of fun, but we need to calm down.
But that's over now.
We've got to calm down now.
Stop it now.
We've got it's out. Stop it. You stop laughing right now. It's out of control. It's too much. The reason this is a good drop spot for KONINA Power on this particular circle is the run out down towards the south side is actually quite open, and you can take a lot of shots towards teams that are trying to push their way in through this area. So for Paris Resort and this little rocky outcrop as you come out from the south side, there is a big chance right now for KONINA Power to clear out a lot of teams that are attempting to make their way in. My biggest worry is probably SHOCKWAVE as well as the Nameless and NEXUS. Because SHOCKWAVE is going to come in late. It might surprise KONINA Power. It has in the past.
Well, that's probably going to be a bit surprising for Octavian. Oh, that's actually quite a nice cleanup. Nameless had been down in the dumps on this one for a while, waiting for their opportunity to strike. They come in looking to clean up versus NEXUS. They think they've got the drop on them. They think they've got this one in the bag, but there's a hole in the bottom. NEXUS have fallen out and been able to turn the tides on it, upset them, and secure that one to stay alive. If they can reset themselves, they will be in the runnings potentially for another fight instantly off the back of it, as Dark Project have closed the gap between them, teasing them with a vehicle here. Oh, nades get thrown out. EXO's getting lit up. They're driving back in to close the gap. Leaning out the window doesn't work too well, as the DBS will punish onto the first cleanup there from EXO. But he needs backup. The rest of his team so far away as well. You're not really going to be able to help him too much. Octavian cannot afford to miss a shot here.
Drops a nade down towards EXO. I wonder if he'll actually dive that nade. I don't know if it was on target. It wasn't. It was behind. And now he's just spraying the tree, not letting him get back in. Evanesca, what are you doing, mate? Just backwards and forwards. You know, EXO sort of saved this game right now for Nexus because the rest of the team had to recuperate and heal. So Nexus just sends EXO up front. Just sits there like a barricade. And Dark Project can't get in. That is very, very unfortunate for Dark Project. But, you know, a huge round of golf claps there for Nexus. What a play.
No, that was nice. I mean, definitely could have been a lot cleaner from Dark Projects. They left the windows open. They left some mistakes for Nexus to breeze on in. But Nexus still had to play it right, and they were able to. So they recover from that, keep their heads clean, keep themselves in the game, at least for now. It's just such a change as well for Nexus over this entire day. We've been mentioning it a lot, but really has been a bit of a facelift for them in the way that they're approaching PUBG Mobile in these lobbies over the past couple of days. Looking like a very different team, moment to moment. And at least here, you've been able to keep all 4 players alive as well. So still got all the bells and whistles that you could want the longer this one goes on. Zone really favoring MADBULLS here, though. Lit up right in the middle, already ahead of the pack.
Yeah, this could be a little MADBULLS win, actually. But I'm confident in KONINA Power. I've been confident in them since minute 1. As soon as I saw this circle, Agori spots over towards Kapahala, try and take some pot shots just here and there. But yeah, the circle does massively favour MADBULLS. You know, if I wasn't so confident in KONINA Power, I'd say that MADBULLS would win this game. VIRTUS.PRO potentially also have a chance. We know what they can do from the outside circle in Sanhok.
Wildcard pick, I reckon MUERTE deals some damage on this one. They're good on Sanhoks, and they've been a little bit more quiet than I'd like them to have been over the course of some of these games. So hopefully this is where they really do start to let the sirens emit some noise. Wait, though. He was the tripwire on this one. Strikes early, hits heavy on the first, but the spray transfer not there for him. Beck being beckoned in as well, but he's been baited and dismantled as Fleek is able to find these for free. VIRTUS.PRO, they're evaporating. This is all going wrong quite quickly. Like a bowl of water near a dehumidifier. They're going to be gone in a few seconds.
Of Ace, great shot there over towards Elementrix as well. I think they have to be careful considering they just saw one of the players from VIRTUS.PRO just get absolutely annihilated by shots across the way. Yeah, this is why I wouldn't walk up to where they're currently playing. Nexus, though, they got shot at by KONINA Power earlier on. They hear the engagement. They look to fly in. There's some more shots going their way, but look at KONINA Power. They are really down on their luck at the moment.
It's a good day as well in terms of the predictions. You can see all of us are a little bit more split with these lobbies. It bodes well. Goes to show just how fine these margins are with some of these teams. More teams contending for chicken dinners than we've seen in quite some time in a few of these lobbies here for PMPL EU. So it's fun to watch. Keeps you guessing. Keeps you on your toes. This fight's still going on, though, as we will see KONINA Power looking to try and save the prediction from blank. See if they can reset, get everyone back on their feet, and look towards the future potentially on this one. It might come a bit quicker than they expected, though. So many squads closely grouped on this. The flank up from SHOCKWAVE walking in through the back. They have to find their way through No Mercy Warriors. You deal with the first man, sure. The nades fall short as well. So Terminus now getting extra info on this one, Blank.
Yeah, I think for SHOCKWAVE they're doing fairly decently versus No Mercy Warriors. It's kind of felt like it should have not gone their way at all. KONINA Power likely would rather have gone towards that eastern side, but I think they're going to try and remove both these teams as quickly as possible, get themselves some more elimination points on board. Becca starts things off with a beautiful blaster over towards Terminus, and now start to look over towards Astic. This should be just an easy cleanup for KONINA Power. Palucci's in the back line watching over towards Nexus as they make their quick send in towards the circle.
Wastic. He kept himself tucked in for long enough here. Look at the quick switch as well, actually. That's clean. Beautiful mechanics for the 1v2, but you're just so overwhelmed in terms of the manpower that he will still go down, but at least makes it awkward, right? KONINA Power, now you've got to waste a bit more time in terms of the reset, with the zone slowly starting to make it a bit more uncomfortable.
Wow.
This is nice.
I mean, that is actually so lucky on the timing of those reses, because it's stage 5. There is no possibility of getting a player back up after stage 5. As soon as the blue hits, it will just tick you straight down to being knocked again. KONINA Power getting shot at right now by MADBULLS. Luckily, Octavian plays a little bit of a distraction move there for them. Yeah, this is a horrible spot to be in now for KONINA Power, but opens up the shot over towards Frozen God. With them split over every single one of these compounds, maybe there's an angle to get in here. Luckily for them, Tulika on an absolute rampage finds another one.
MADBULLS playing from a compound that they feel comfortable in, where all they've got to do is fight from range. Yeah, they love these sort of moments. Fleek finding shots left, right, and center. Damage being established back onto him, though. And it's actually the utility that might be the difference maker. Now you can close the gap on this. Everyone's dropping down to the ground, though. NEXUS struggling to stay alive. Octavian and co. evaporating. KONINA Power go up in a puff of smoke as well as they're finished off. Couldn't handle it. Trying to close that gap. Fighting MADBULLS. Oh, mate. This is going to be an intense one. So many squads on top of each other here, just taking fight after fight. No moment for respite.
MADBULLS got kind of torn apart there by KONINA Power, surprisingly. Mainly Palucci, because I do really like Palucci, this type of stuff he's able to do. Trofka, though, in the back line over towards MADBULLS. Could cause some problems, Jackie, potentially. We know how scrappy this guy can be. Gets too close, you're certain to feel the burn. He just twists the forearms.
He's got his hands in the bucket of rice, and he's turning them. He's rotating them, making sure to keep his wrist firmly against the edge of the bucket, so he's only working those forearms, making sure that he'll be a muscly boy, so he's got the power to hit heavy in a situation like this. And I tell you what, Trofka, actually normally one of the players that you do like seeing as a bit of a solo late man. He's able to keep his nose out of trouble, just stays low to the ground. He's been tailing effectively MADBULLS bit by bit, like a private investigator, just waiting to take the snapshot. But in reality, it won't be a camera. It'll be the firearm in his back pocket. So if he sees a window of opportunity, Trofka, maybe he'll start to dial in. Wants to think about the long game, though, and let most of these squads duke it out first so that placements will be on the line. And now it seems like everyone's starting to get a bit antsy. You can see with the rotations coming in on the mini-map, they're starting to bubble up a bit.
I've got a lot of, like, quite high-powered teams in this endgame. Reflect goes down from Alpha. Again, pretty difficult scenario to be in there. Trofka, like you said, just keeping his eye on. We'll have to move eventually, but could pick himself up 2 cheeky eliminations. He sees Frozen off in the distance there. You know, I think he's actually preparing to maybe take a shot. He wants to get into cover. He has to stand up.
Oh, no. Oh, I don't like the look of this. I feel like the timing's off. Surely.
Yeah. It is not looking great, but they're not even looking at him. Zerich went straight back in the building. Can't heal this off. We'll have to jump in. Finds Zerich. Will pick himself up a nice little elimination there. Won't confirm it, though. What was he doing?
Oh, mate. All right. That's a shame. It felt like there were some big ideas there, but when it came to execution, it just wasn't really what we wanted to see from it.
It has ruined MADBULLS.
Yeah, it kind of has really put the pincers on MADBULLS for this one. If anything, he's basically set up Dagestan to take a huge W on this one.
Yeah, this is underrated, brother. There's been a lot of back wheeling, you know, the old car roundhouse in these games, and now Dagestan versus Tulika.
Yeah, a bit of bonneting going on, mate.
Yeah, a team versus a one-man army.
All right. What do we got in store then? Tulika, anything that will change the pace of this one? He starts it off with the opener, but that's all he'll get. So Dagestan, off the back of being helped out by Trofka, coming in for a chicken dinner on that one.
Yeah, it felt like it all just went topsy-turvy. Dagestan just had a lot of that eastern side themselves on the high ground. The only really thing I want to say about this game is that KONINA Power has betrayed me once again.
Specifically you. They only did it to hurt you.
Yeah. I'm not picking them from now on.
Never again?
Never again.
Okay.
Whole tournament.
Wow, there you go. Blank officially hates KONINA Power. You've heard it here first. Let's get back to the analyst desk and see what we think about that. Kalaris, any thoughts on how Blank is so aggressive?
Easy blast for Dagestan. They were in that spot since the second circle. They get themselves the win here, Max.
Yeah, great little spread over to the eastern side and able to get himself so much presence, especially Shifu. He's just like a hawk, able to just eye out everyone trying to crawl their way across the road and get so many limbs off the back of that. So good prediction, Kalaris. Good job. You got it. Got your 3 points.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, cool. 19 points. Got there. I will say, I think I've played that same location about 3 times in the last 2 days because I always end up going over towards Camp Bravo and then playing from there. Or is it Camp Alpha up there? Anyway, it's one of the camps. Well, yeah, but they've got themselves the win on the board. MADBULLS 15 points. I will say they had a great compound to play from, and I thought that they were transitioning nicely up their hill on that west side, but then solos everywhere, and solos are rough.
Yeah, a bit rough when you have Trofgarv KASIK team just ruining it for MADBULLS. They would have had a chance because they had a few rocks and trees to play with, but Trofgar just got 2 players, then another went out to the blue, so a bit tough times for them. Though good times for Nexus. 2 good games back-to-back, one on the Miramar and now here over on the Sanhok, and able to get some decent presence north, really, able to clear so many teams, especially going for a third party on KONINA Power, No Mercy Warriors and Shockwave as they're trying to exit the southern terrain of Paradise Resort, which we know is very tough terrain to try and exit from, so they just gate-kept all of that situation in the first place, and Redox secured a few extra bonus points, so good on them. Though, one thing that was weird this game is how... Jackie and Blank were in a weird mood this match. I don't know, I don't know what was happening.
Well, we've slowly allowed them to descend into madness after I called them military dolphins. So you know,
that's why.
Who knows what was going? They were probably there before that, to be frank. But anyway, we got Dagestan here with 1,700 damage. It's going to be pretty much Sanhok numbers this game. There wasn't a huge amount going on up until the point where solos kind of were popping out everywhere. Then a limb's not going to be too high for any particular team, it feels like here, because it was all very spread, Max.
Yeah, except for the top 3 teams that got eliminations. It was very spread between those teams. Like Sanhok numbers, you could almost say in terms of damage overall should be the case. But Alpha team also had a decent position in the southern edge, but it was tough for all the teams because, as we know, Dagestan, they drop on the eastern coast, right? And when you have a circle that comes their way, because you have very small amount of teams that go for that shift, it is going to be coming their way. And Shifu, always smiling, being the top damage deal of the game. Hell yeah.
I'd be smiling too if I did 700 damage on a Sanhok, but Flyke able to get himself 5 limbs off the back of this too. It's always ever present, the scary MADBULLS here lurking around. Meanwhile, MUERTE, we're trying to make something happen during the game, not as much as I thought maybe would occur, but again, they weren't exactly playing from the easiest of spots.
Yeah, it was a tough transition point when you're going downhill. You have teams like Alpha Team, Dagestan looking at everyone, MADBULLS in their compound on the road trifecta. You're always going to struggle. Though back to Flyke, he was very, very important for MADBULLS this game because they were fighting versus KONINA Power. They were trying to just feed themselves down into that compound, and they actually got 2 players knocked. So one of the teammates, I think it was Frozen, was going to go over for the res. And actually, Flyke was the one that solo was able to hold off the remnants of KONINA Power. So because of that, they pick up more elimination, survive longer in the game, and then pick up the full team as a 4-man squad. So Flyke was very, very pivotal for MADBULLS to make it as far as they actually did. So that's the cool thing about MADBULLS, right? We keep talking about this team. Every player is so impactful, and even as a solo, they can just pop off and bring the game back to their advantage. Yeah,
players like the players from MADBULLS, as we take a look at the highlights, are just on another level compared to some of the teams at the bottom who are just... They're cannon fodder for them in a lot of situations. So they're able to prevail in certain scenarios where normally other teams wouldn't be able to prevail. I mean, again, the big 3 kind of in a similar vein are able to do these kinds of things, but he's just seen here Flyke kind of cleaning up these shots wherever he may find them. Shifu, though, on the opposite side, Max, able to get some decent long-range shots, some really good angles that are not that common, actually, on Sanhok when you're able to find those magical angles.
Yeah, I was seeing Shifu go for the spray downs with the M4. Of course, the M4 is really good at that type of range, but I'm jealous of that recoil control. Like, he is really bloody good with the way he's able to spray down his opponents. And Alpha Team did help them a bit to try and negate the push off MADBULLS, and it did make it just easier for Dagestan to steal those points away. Already, they were up to 6 elimination, 7 after the elimination on top of Ashipa, so really strong performance from them. Almost got the flush onto Zadira, but it was just not meant to be. They even tried to go for the crash. But yeah, Dagestan, we keep saying it, they have potential for the wins. This is a circle that when you give them a circle like that, they're not going to throw it away, but it's just, I want to see a dominant game from Dagestan where they do not have the circle coming their way, like that one Erangel with 25 elims, but outside of that, we haven't seen that happen too often.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw 1 or 2 players with the Tidal Embrace skin on their M4 as well, which is kind of cool. Exciting to see that go down. But anyway, it's by the by here, as we've only got one more match here for today. Once again, it feels like we've blitzed through this day, yeah, Max. And it does feel like, again, the usual suspects are being able to get these wins out of these games. I'm hoping that we see maybe a bit more of a shunt in an opposite direction here, Max. Maybe one of the underdogs get themselves a victory on our last game of the day, but it's looking slim pickings.
Yeah, is it going to be the big 3? Is it going to be the Fantastic 5? Is it going to be the Amazing 16 or something?
The Super 16. Shut up. Overalls. All right, let's take a look at the Elegant 8 up at the top here with Alpha Team in 8th place, 46 points. They're actually drawing with TUNA right now, but MADBULLS 91 points. This is looking a whole lot like Phase 1, Max. Uh-oh.
A little bit spooky in the PMGC rankings too. We don't know what it's gonna look like, but you can already expect the MADBULLS have been creating a little bit of a lead, which is good to have before heading into the finals. Though yeah, the top is good to see Dagestan. I keep saying that this team has the potential to be at the top of the rankings. It's good to see them be in 5th position currently, overtaking MUERTE. Though as we go a little bit lower, no, Nexus, if we stop right now, they'll be playing Olivic. So good on Nexus, good improvement, but still that's only 6 placement points compared to 34 elims. Good on the elimination department, but like they need to reach that late game way more often, which they were good at before, but Phase 3 is just not their phase, it seems.
No, definitely not. There's some teams that are really suffering at the moment and not getting much traction whatsoever on the leaderboards as a whole. Also, noticeably, No Mercy Warriors now falling out of that top 8 as well. Some of these teams that were kind of, you know, on the cusp of breaking into that Elegant 8 have now found themselves extra points to be able to knock them down, and No Mercy Warriors has not been able to keep up with it. 47 points, though. It's still not bad, Max. They could still strike towards that top 8.
Yeah, there's a chance for them to make in the Elegant 8 at some point. I mean, there's so much potential for a lot of these teams, right? But clearly it is so top-heavy at the point of the tournament that a lot of the teams at the bottom are just feeder teams, really. They're like numbers for the top squads, and they're just going to look to take you down every single opportunity they have. So yeah, it's tough competition to really stand out. If you want to stand out, every single player on your team needs to be such an impactful presence. And right now, it's just hard to really stand out in any way, shape, or form.
But if you want to stand out, you've got to go over to Maxman's massive socials and check out what's going on with the giveaway over on Instagram, Max. You could be a killer whale as well, knocking over all those boats.
Yeah, and I actually I'm going to steal the strat. So if you guys want to win some skins, you got to follow me too. Okay?
No.
On Instagram.
Interrupted. This message is not endorsed by the PUBG Mobile.
Actually, you have to block me on Instagram, and then you can win.
Yeah, and then he'll favorite all his own posts. He's weird like that. Let's go over to the commentators. It's one final match here for the day. Jackie and Blank, take it away, please.
I like that all of us have had our funny juice this morning. This is good. Everyone's on the same page for today's show, Blank, and it's been a blinder, mate. But like Clara said, it's been over in a flash. It feels so quick today.
Yeah, it's been a fast day so far. It's been enjoyable, been quick, speedy, blazed through it. But again, we've all had our little moments here and there. The Elegant 8, the terrific 20. It's good to see. But what I'm looking at right now is that top big 3. Because these guys are the ones that are really pumping out those points. MADBULLS still have a game in hand. And this has always been a scary prospect. Whenever we see these groups, MADBULLS, when they have that final game of the day, when Major Prize not playing, you don't have, you've got Titans as well as Gladiators in, but they've got another game in. They could hit triple digits on this match, Jackie. They need 9 points to do it, and they would be so far ahead of anyone else.
That's a cool storyline. That's one of those that gives us something to keep track of here. See if maybe there's potential for a big win, for some kind of momentum, an upward shift that could do so much for them. It's a good map for it as well, Blank. You know, the tides on this one looking good. There's some good omens sprinkled in. you'd be your own worst enemy now. This is a game where basically, you know, it is in your hands to give yourself enough of a point lead from this. So don't leave it up to anyone else. And at least, not being Sanhok, there's no chance for those early throwaway knocks as well that would potentially steal that opportunity from coming to fruition. This should be a really great way to round out the day here, going into our final Erangel.
Yeah, man, I think that Erangel always nice and easy, nice and juicy in terms of having those fairer points on board. You get the teams that should be winning right at the top. You don't have those strange endings where you've got Trofka behind you just biding his time and then ruining you off the back of it. I mean, we could see Titans even further ahead of the lobby right now. We could have even seen them in triple digits after that last match if it wasn't for Trofka. Yes, it would have still been difficult playing uphill towards Dagestan, but there was definitely a chance there for MADBULLS. What a nasty circle as well. For our final Erangel of the day. Scratch anything I said about being fair. This is cruel. This is evil.
Oh, mate. You know what's hilarious? I think this actually has more water in it than the last time we saw a circle that was on military base. Like, I'm pretty sure we've somehow maximized the water on this one. This is incredible. Half of the playable space, if not a bit more, being deep blue ocean. All right, how do we opt to play around this one then? I guess that's the big question that a lot of our teams will be facing. This is going to be an interesting one. Scratch most of the things we said about the normality. Yeah, we're going in for a potentially wacky and wild finish to the day.
Yeah, I know it was Friday yesterday, but, you know, we're having a freaky Saturday today. It's a bit crazy, a bit wild. I think a lot of these teams might be considering trying to get down towards the southwest side as quick as possible. I'd like to personally see Titans move really quickly here, Jackie. Try and take control of the hillside down towards the south on the western edge of Sosnovka. You can potentially get a little bit of holdout early on towards teams trying to get across that western bridge and then play off the back of that. Don't think Titans need to stick around here too long. They're typically a team that will just lose a player early if they're not careful. But I think in terms of firepower, in terms of giving it out, they can certainly do that over down on that south side. Speaking of giving things out, Maxman's giving out a lot of things over on our social media pages, so go check that out over on Esports PUBGM EU on Instagram as well as YouTube. Make sure you're picking up those skins because they're available and they're there.
They're just waiting to be claimed. You too could have access to the shark cover. Keep that in mind. Think about that overnight. Sharks.
Sharks. Just
Sharks.
allow that to be incepted into your mind. That's all I'm asking.
You know, think of how crazy that is as a collaboration. Sharks, almost as old as the dinosaurs. You've been around on Earth for a very, very long time. Not much that's been here as long as sharks have, Blank. So you're getting something prehistoric. That's classic. That's vintage.
That is about as classic as it gets. You're not wrong. The classical animals, including crocodiles, as well as sharks.
Crabs, sharks. Simple as.
That's it. Those are the only classical animals out there, and you get to have one of them as a skin. Pick it up immediately, as soon as possible. Titans do go for that movement that we were talking about earlier, down towards the south side. They play on the hillside. Looks like they're not going to opt for a western bridge hold. I respect that, you know. With the amount of teams that have to move through here, you could easily get caught up in the midst of a holdout on that south side. You want to take the western ridge anyway. With this leaning towards the west, there is a likely chance we head over towards here. If Titans can hold on to that for the vast majority of the game, wow, a lot of points can be gained from this position.
Tuna on screens again here as well. Obito, the fan favorite, definitely been going by the beat of his own drum recently in some of the maneuvers, but it's been paying off. He's been fun to watch. And Tuna, I think the best bit about them is just the fact that we're actually, you know, seeing some legs on this team, seeing some longevity to them. And again, consistently over the course of today's play, they had opportunities where they have impressed us or at least been able to get into potentially exciting positions. Looking a lot better the more we've seen from them. PERMITTA, it feels like they've kind of been cursed with the same old story into a few of these moments. Sneaks here, really just testing his swimming. He was considering doing the swim across the channel the whole way to France from England, Blank. So he's just seeing if that's possible in-game first before he commits to it in real life.
Just getting the swimathon on, Jackie. And that's fair enough. That's what needs to be done sometimes. VULGAR boys immediately sent down towards the coast. They assume there's going to be a team here. They could take them out a bit earlier. Potentially, there was a chance for them to grab this vehicle off of them. Not possible at this point in time, so PERMITTA will be getting down towards this island nice and quick. Gladiators similarly had the same idea, you know, down towards Crates Hospital side. They were like, look, let's just get over towards Sosnovka as quick as possible. Heading out over towards the western compounds. It is difficult heading up towards that eastern side on that western compound as well. You know, it's all uphill. It's very open. You get easily shot out by teams like Titans. And then again, it's just quite a difficult rotate through. But this being one of the compounds that is available early on, at least you're not having to be a lot of these other teams who are just going to be searching for position all around the map. You can see Gladiators moving a little bit further, seeing what they can take as close as they can go here.
I see. Tracing Gladiators on the cross. I see. Man, individually, his mechanics are just so far ahead of some players when you look at the way he plays. Great spray control. Not quite getting what he wanted from it. We can join with the POV of Unicorns of Love as well, as they've spearheaded an attack there, horned their way into that one. And found MUERTE, actually joining back to the Gladiators, though. They've been chased, and the space has been taken away from them. They're getting somewhat punished on this. It's only really Matic that's looking to stand the test of time.
Not exactly the guy that I'd want to go up against. Look at this. Guy's disgustingly good at the game. Tixie's also coming through. Titans give up a position on the high ground, potentially go for this engagement. Matic's still peaking. 1 HP, by the way.
Oh, mate. The confidence on him is outrageous, but Titan being able to topple could be the difference here.
Wait. They've got 4 players still up, Jackie?
Hang on, how have they been able to get through this so cleanly with no one going down? Mate, that's outrageous. It looked like Titan were actually taking them blow for blow. They walk away with that one so cleanly. That's gross. Okay, Gladiators, we see you.
I mean, Titans didn't have, again, they didn't have to do this. I would say that's one of the hardest transitions for a team like Gladiators up that hillside towards Titans' position in the first place if the circle heads towards them. So the fact that they go for this and don't just let them sit in that spot, they try and get rid of them early. Fair play. You can understand the reasoning. They don't want to have to deal with that western side too much. They can get rid of them now in the early game whilst teams are still trying to rotate in. But man, yeah, ruined by the Gladiators. Really good play there to hold on. Specifically, Matic has been just so awe-inspiring today, Jackie.
It's been really impressive. It's so cool that it does seem like, you know, a lot of our top squads and a lot of individual players are just starting to get that level of elevation, that sort of playoff lift, you know, coming up closer towards champs, coming up closer towards the end of the year even, really. It feels like everyone's just sort of giving it that extra 5%, that extra momentum in some of these fights. And it's a shame that the story there that we set up at the start for Titans kind of just dissipates amongst all that. Because that would have been a really cool bit to build off of, you know, like you were saying, just a few points, you know, the difference of a handful of points, Blank, could have been them cleanly being able to pass the one team that's ahead of them in Major Pride by just a few bits. Doesn't happen.
So, like, honestly, the initial rotation, quick loot, down towards the south side, understand they have the ridge control, and then do that. It's confusing, man, because they make a lot of the right decisions, like really perfect decision-making, really perfect rotations into what is this? A lot of times, it really does confuse me. However, you know, Gladiators, that's a fight that potentially could have gone wrong for them. They're lucky that Matic is so good at the game that he's able to clutch that out with basically 1 HP on board. Really good. So look at this, like this peak into this next fight here is gross. And then still peaking.
Still fighting, still scrapping.
I think he got the final elimination as well. That is so silly.
Man, that's wild. It makes it so much harder to watch as well when you look at it from that perspective, when you can really soak it all in. You're not kind of tunnel vision. It just goes to show how awkward it really was. So that's the way Titans let the hopes and dreams slip through their fingertips on that one. It was finally in a position where it was up to them. It wasn't up to another squad to decide the standings, but couldn't handle it, couldn't cut the mustard on that one. probably be a bit frustrated because of it, but they're forced to be sent back to the lobby and wait until tomorrow's play day to have any chance to find their comeuppance. Hello, Rolkis, getting involved here onto Alpha. He's behind enemy lines, though. I mean, look at where he is. You're completely surrounded here, basically, by a KASIK team that have had a pretty good day about them as well. And they've got their wits normally up in a situation like this, close in the tree line. The nade's tidy, though. Fair play for Rolkis on the first one.
Yeah, we'll just back it off a little bit. Nice initial engagement there, and I think Unicorns are love. Once they've done that damage, they can kind of just sit out, try find the more strong compounds in this area, play off the back of that. I respect it. You know, you've done enough to isolate. Rolkis on the fadeaway will also get reflect. Mandarin left all on his lonesome now. The rest of his team down and out. Difficult initial circle. Zone 1, Jackie. Come to Zone 2, we kind of really reassess, reaffirm Sosnovka. I was about to say most teams are quite happy that this hasn't just gone back up towards the mainland. Scratch that again. It's been so unfair in terms of these circles today. Like, this is the hardest shift in the most awkward of directions.
Playing with a lot of fine margins. Being pushed and pulled around at the whim of the zone, which again, still so much water, playable space, really at an all-time low. So map geometry, really going to be worth its weight in gold. If you can actually find cover, if you can find a good angle to set up in, give yourself some kind of a boon to play with in these equations, because it's not going to get any easier. And, you know, like having a party in an elevator, there just isn't a lot of room.
No, there really isn't. Look, you got cake on your face. There is literal plates made of paper on the walls. Someone's blaring music too loudly. My guy's elbows in my ribs. It's uncomfortable, which is exactly what this circle is, right? It's going to get really uncomfortable towards the side. You get a lot of players playing out towards water, which is probably the only saving grace right now for SHOCKWAVE, Dagestan, as well as No Mercy Warriors. There is that play still available, but that's not a winning play. That's a survival play. And it always sucks when you get to this part of the game in Stage 3 where you just think to yourself, look, we have to make a play that we're playing for top 8, essentially. Potentially a top 3, but we're going to have to spend 20 minutes, grueling 20 minutes in the water, making sure we keep our backs covered, making sure we're not exposing ourselves and staying underwater when necessary. It's grim, man. It's really grim.
It's just so rough to deal with. Really not the sort of position that you'd want to be in. Playing around a zone like this forces so much more from you. And you can see in the elim feed that MADBULLS are at least taking it in their stride right now as they're able to slice their way through. SHOCKWAVE, throw them off towards the coast. Meanwhile, down at the coast, though, you've got a bit of a cheeky maneuver set up here. The flank along the coastal ridge up on the rocks is being taken by No Mercy Warrior. It's Wobbly, who's in position, looking for the peak. Actually lining it up with the nades. He can see the head, so he's aware of their location. Wants to switch back to the primary. Great burst for the engagement. And knocks onto him. So you somewhat fragmented Dagestan as well. Even though they're close together, this is not even ground. This is not easy terrain to traverse to be able to get your teammate picked back up. So Keep, he's got to kind of bail out on this one and go spelunking.
Yeah, again, this fight makes me laugh because we set it up in a way that this fight is deciding who gets to swim in the water for the rest of the game. Isn't that crazy? That's so sad for both these teams. Most likely a couple of them are going to go down. They've got a time limit on this one. That is one of the most grim circles as well over towards this western side. There's really not a lot of compounds in this area. You know, the south compound, do you really want to play it? Yeah, I guess for the time being, if you're Gladiators, you could potentially get a little bit of cover from here, let a lot of the other teams fight it out. MADBULLS have to leave that one as well. This is just full beach warfare that's going to go on from here. So I hope everyone brought their swimwear, brought their sandcastle, creating tools, because you have to create some kind of cover for yourself.
Yeah, you've got to do something differently here. Provide some sort of protection. Some SPF 50. possibly going to be required. No Mercy Warriors striking onto the side of Dagestan, though. The fight that keeps on going between them two. Meanwhile, TUNA here repositioning and topping themselves back up. You're being held by Gladiators. Sure, the zone's going to move them further towards you, but right now they're just taking pot shots down range. A reply back out, but it's not swift enough. Purple, he comes unstuck. Zerich is on the move as well, putting the pedal to the metal and looking to close the distance between them. Supported by Matic, who's looking to capitalize on this. Up on the hill, Zerich with a peek, spams down, takes a hefty chunk of damage and drops his belly back down to the ground. TUNA have gotten away.
Finally out of there, but Gladiator's getting a lot of information off the back of this. They're currently holding a pretty strong ridgeline with Meku posting himself up towards that location, which means that Tixi, as well as the rest of the team, can regroup on top of him. And I think that now they've identified there's a team over towards this western edge. With MADBULLS, they can just fully focus here, try and clean out that team, take them out of position, remove the nuisance, and then play over towards the eastern side. In the meantime, No Mercy Warriors are eliminated. So Dagestan get to play in the water. Amazing.
They've secured the water control. They can now happily tread water until the end of the game. And that's what they're going to be setting their focus on, trying to just stay out of trouble on this one. Obviously, placement points really being worth their weight in gold this late into the day, and this late overall in general. So, got to make the most of it. Squeeze what you can out of it. Oh, Foopsman still alive and on the move though here for the rest of VULGAR boys, and he is right in the thick of it. Man's in the middle, scouting out, looking to get some reconnaissance on the go. Smokes the buggy for now and takes a peek on the wayside. Kitsune coming in from the back line as well as VULGAR boys move up towards Foops.
Yeah, right now, Gladiator's just scoping the area. SPG coming from the east. Team that's done pretty well recently. I've been fairly impressed by SPG, enjoying their play style. Just looking a lot more confident in a lot of their plays. Snowex, Alar, Alex, as well as Narvalo. Victor not playing currently, which seems curious with the vicious Victor usually putting in a huge amount of work, squatting and deadlifting a lot of these games.
SPG. Feels like they've been really unlucky in some of their encounters today compared to regularly. Losing out in some rough situations. Here though, just trying their best in terms of the long con. They've put pressure on MUERTE and have found a few weak links there to at least inflict a nice bit of damage. VULGAR boys lining up still close towards Gladiators. This has kind of been the lay of the land for a little while now. Obito still alive with the AK in his hands, up close as well, just tucked into a little corner.
This is genuine cruelty on this circle so far. Moves back over towards the northwest, keeps a lot of the water in play. And it's very difficult to determine who's going to win this game. It's just based off basically gun skill at this point.
This is a smorgasbord of teams all on top of each other. I don't know what's happening here. Everyone is inside of the shed. There is a shed party occurring, and TUNA do not like the look of it. They did not get an invite, so they just spam bullets over there and see if they can finish them off, take out all of the party goers. CJ still locked in position as the last one, effectively staying alive. Meanwhile, MUERTE scrapping with Trofka, as it seems like KASIK team have kicked off an engagement there. Hinguish being able to deal damage back as well. And compound control finally being taken for Gladiators that have been flanking slowly behind VULGAR boys for quite some time. But VULGAR boys, they want to swoop in for it. They want to give us a show as they look to aggress against the Gladiators.
There's only 3 players over here as well for the Gladiators. Meku's been holding out MADBULLS on the other side. Lovely nade. Start things off from Tixi towards Pylaus. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Mate, the second you saw the Molotov and the nade come in, that's horrific. The Gladiators can dispatch an entire team so quickly. That's absolute insanity, Blank.
I think Tresley's about to take a nade to the face too. Ooh! Please let that explode!
Ooh. He's still up. And he's gone.
I think Tixi might be down. They might be able to get in the vehicle if they're quick enough. It's going to be difficult. It probably will just be a case of just running him in over the shoulder at this point in time if they want to remain as the full 4, but it's KASIK team to take down Meku as well as Tixi in a very immediate fashion. Really fantastic stuff, leaving Gladiators just now as 2. You know what I was curious about? Maxban has predicted Dagestan.
You know what? Dagestan have been pretty damn good, actually, at being able to squeeze out the odd weird game. They've been treading water for a while.
Not wrong, yeah.
No one finds them. Like, I mean, maybe this is just one of those games.
Yeah, you're not wrong. They're definitely the weird game squeezers. I actually have seen matches where this does go down right to the wire and the team that is in the water just kind of comes out and does find themselves the win off the back of it. MADBULLS currently out 4 though is good. Yeah. They grow feet.
Yeah, the legs grow in.
Yeah.
And climb up onto the shoreline.
Kind of crazy. Evolution.
It's wild. Yeah. They were once plankton, but now they are a chicken dinner. Still a long way to go, though.
That's kind of a big evolution, yeah. You skipped a few steps there.
You've got to become crab first, and then from crab to chicken. Classic evolution stuff.
Yeah. Plankton, crab, chicken. Now I'm more on board. I'm more on board with you now.
Giving you the breadcrumbs that you need to follow the trail on this one.
Again, this point in time, most teams would like to play on the outside of the circle, right? They want to maintain as much as possible in terms of this terrain that's still playable before they start heading towards beachhead. I think the major difference from a lot of teams is MADBULLS already sent Fleek in early on towards the beach, positioned just to play in with a vehicle. So they do have a bit of proactivity here going on, so they can actually jump towards the anchor that is Fleek in that end game. Most of the teams have been too preoccupied with other teams to be doing something like this, and MADBULLS have just eked out the entirety of the edge of the circle on the western side. So very nice play from them.
Trofka. Poising himself somewhat. You could see the way he's trying to set himself up to at least have an opportunity to punish with the utility here. Starts to close the gap somewhat. Just gets close enough for the dash to be worth it as it's thrown over towards SBG, thinking that he's got the upper hand, but he's been seen on the peak. They're able to tag him up, lit up like a Christmas tree. Confidence now rising for SBG as well, feeling like they want to start to close the gap a little bit, see if you can assault onto the close players. Vehicle there, drawing the crosshairs from the elevated angle off for English. So he's pre-firing, potentially leading to some further info for SBG to play off. Narvalo smoking the close quarters engagement, blocking off those lines of sight for now.
Yeah, KASIK team got very lucky with this compound, being able to keep it in the circle for so long, and it's gave them a great amount of utility. That was a bold res as well, right in the middle of the open. Narvalo, if he tosses his nade far enough, he might catch Trofka on his way back in, but it's just a little bit too late. Look at these guys just snaking it about outside the compound. MADBULLS push further towards the circle now. TUNA towards their southeast. Have to deal with them eventually. Zadira goes down, that's from SBG. MADBULLS tried to confirm. Shifu, last player remaining. Has had some pretty pop-off moments as a solo in the past, though. So see what he can get done here. Hello?
Hello? On the move? Straight into the tree? All right. MADBULLS. It is a bit. Oh no, Dagestan have also been spotted in the water, which is going to make this a little bit more awkward than they wanted to deal with. The chance for the Dagestan late finish looking harder now. English closing the gap on SPG. We've seen this before. This time actually gets really close though, being able to push up on him. He's got the nades to play with, supported by his teammates. Ooh, a drop on either side as both SPG and KASIK team suffering losses now. English with a follow-up nade thrown towards the back line. Snoix healing his way through that one. The big fish are done though as TUNA go down in 5th. English really wants to clean up. Hits the headshot onto Snoix blank. He's going big mode.
Really flipping his way through as well, just trying to spin around. You know what? Fair play to Max. He's actually got a point off his prediction, which is more than anything I thought he would get done. Shifu would have hoped that KASIK team and MADBULLS would have had a bit more of a scrappy engagement, but I think with the way this one's turning out, Fleek should hit that nade. That looked pretty damn good to me.
It did land perfectly as well. It's absolutely ruined him. So KASIK team again forced down to just one. The solo that is English. If they push him one by one, that's the only opportunity really that he has to build something from this. Thing is, they've got Molotovs there. They can force him out of the position. Realizing this, he panics, tries to get out the doorway, wants to get out of the choke point, runs straight into the barrel of Frozen. And now it is all on the last man from Dagestan, Shifu, that seems to be taking his own road on this one. Wants to go into the blue and secure that second place. Swimming away.
Yeah, see you later, boys. I'm off into the water, returning to my people.
The Dolphin squad's waiting for him at the bottom.
That's right. Let's go find ourselves some mines. Let's disarm them, and we'll see you at the end of the game. We'll play to MADBULLS there. Really fantastic chicken dinner. Great play from Fleek. Great play from Fleek all day today, actually. Very consistent team. And with that, they will have broken the triple digits, Jackie. Really fantastic first couple of days here for MADBULLS.
Yeah, although we set up that storyline that, you know, Titan had a chance to really run away with things from this, move further up the standings. Instead, here's the caveat to it, right? MADBULLS being able to pop off on that one and secure it, they're going to be happy with that, Blank. That's huge for them. It means that they're guaranteeing, you know, they're clearing some of these teams being able to fight to topple them off it. And they're looking sick. I think MADBULLS individually, we're just seeing so many good plays again and again.
Yeah.
What else can we say? But they just look incredible.
Yeah, it's difficult, really. I think the only other thing that I want to really take a closer look at maybe tomorrow is that breakdown from Titans versus Gladiators, because that could have been such a big thing for Titans. Unfortunately, it was not meant to be, but what is meant to be is you guys heading back under the desk with our lovely boys, Kalaris and Max.
Nobody contests the position of them over on the west side, and MADBULLS does what MADBULLS does best, which is winning games, Max. They do it all the time.
Oh, they got themselves the chicken dinner. Always. If MADBULLS in the top 3, you know they're going to get the win. It just tends to happen all the time. It's mental. And even Frozen's like, oh, I'm going to take a cheeky 1v1. Send him. I chose you, Frozen, and gets himself the 1v1 versus KASIK. I mean, what are you going to do? They're just clearly the most consistent team by far here in Europe. And another 22 points on board.
Uh-oh.
What else? We've said everything we could say, Kalaris, about this team and more, and they just keep getting those wins every time.
Can't wait to see the overalls, Max.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be bad. Okay, we've got KASIK team, as you say, getting themselves the second place. 15 points. Very respectable for them. Gladiators, 12 points off of this game, considering the battle that almost resulted in their entire wiping down in the south side of this circle. I've got to say, great fortitude by the Gladiators.
Yeah, and great use of utility against VULGAR boys in particular. Like, they were given no chance to defend their position. Just nade, molly, squad wipe, done.
Yeah.
Just no chance. And then they were able to get the res onto Tixi, put him in the car, and then just drive through. But transitioning across the road against such a massive split of MADBULLS, even if they got that far, it was not going to work out, because that split is just too strong, and they've perfected sweeping the western side of Sanhok Island. Though KASIK team top damage by a significant amount on that little hilltop to the east against SBG, blasting at the other teams around them. So I feel like KASIK team are starting to level up how aggressive they are in these matches.
Yeah, they definitely had the opportunity to hold teams out on the east side, and they did with a lot of gusto. So good to see KASIK team being able to be... Okay, well...
MADBULLS. Okay.
Wow, great. Yeah, what a surprise. It was Zerich who was the MVP yesterday, right? And I'm getting the suspecting feeling that maybe he's the MVP again today. We'll look at that later on, but we actually didn't speak about that. Normally we speak about, who do you think is going to be the MVP? I don't know. Who's going to be it? Anyway.
Maybe.
It's getting a little bit one-sided sometimes when it comes to the MADBULLS, but that's fine. So let's take a look and see how all this is all folding. I think for the most part, Max, when it comes to a beach finish like this, I understand your pick for Dagestan to a degree, because even though they're probably not going to get the victory, if the beach stays in play, if the water stays in play, they're almost certainly going to get a top 3.
For me, I'm not going to lie, for me it was a mean pick from start to finish. I was like, screw it, I'll go for the team in the water, haha, so fun. And then the water, we have a lot of we were talking about it during the game, right, Kalash? We have a lot of these water finishes, which is very unusual, and it's just about that 50-50 split. And actually the water there is playable for Dagestan, because you can just get up on your feet in the water with a lot of your body still submerged, take some shots, and then go right back in the water, which is what Zadira was doing, taking shots against Frozen. I think Fleeky from time to time also on MADBULLS. and then you just go back into the depth of the water and just hide yourself away. And it didn't quite work out the long way. Shifu was alive, but yeah, MADBULLS, again, that split, the angles they were taking, and the little bit of elevation, again, MADBULLS are so good at using these small terrain advantages fully to create such a big advantage point in their favor, and there's not much you could really do, and then Frozen just fully sends it and gets dealing.
I mean, it's a setup from so early on in the game, right? The fact that they're controlling the west side, they defeat Shockwave coming over the bridge, and then they know that there's nobody in the west. So they're just playing from that angle as time goes on. Let's take a look at the daily winners. MADBULLS, of course, got themselves 2 on the day. I think it was 2 on the day. Yes, it was. As we started off with Major Pride getting the first one. Titans and Dagestan are able to take the other 2 games here throughout the day. And again, it looks like domination from these top teams here, Max.
Yeah, I mean, MADBULLS also on that Sanhok game, that second Sanhok was also second place, right? So it's just it's just the top teams. As always, there's Major Pride, it's your MADBULLS, now Titan able to get later on into the matches, getting themselves some chicken dinners, which is the big improvement I wanted from Titan, and we are seeing glimpses of that every single step of the way, which I'm adoring every single time we see it happen. So yeah, I feel like we're repeating ourselves pretty consistently now.
Yeah.
It's just so top heavy now, and those feeder teams at the bottoms, they had some moments yesterday, but now we're slowly coming back to reality where, no, the big 3 or like the Fantastic 5, they're the teams on top. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm being alerted that we've got to think about our MVP. I think I'm going for Zerich. Are you also going for Zerich?
You know what? I was going to go Zerich, but just for the sake of it, I'm going to go Fleeke. He had a good day too.
He did have a good day.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those 2. Hey, it's Zerich again. Oh, what a surprise.
Back to back. Okay, MVP of the phase, calling it now. Okay, it's probably going to happen. We're not going to lie.
Just 2 days in out of 6. Okay, great.
You had IC, you had yourself Nomi. Probably going to be Zerich. This phase is looking already pretty damn good. And I feel like the moment we're going to look at the leaderboards, it's going to be absolute murder at the top.
I think so.
Yeah.
After 2 days, they might be 50 points ahead or something silly. That's scary. We'll see. We'll see. Let's take a look at the overalls. We're taking a look at phase 1, 2, and 3 combined, I believe, though. So we won't get to know, maybe, maybe we can look at the daily leaderboard. But anyway, for that point, across these, it's 14 wins across 2 1/3 phases.
I said it at the end of phase 1. Imagine if we still had the old system where you get $1,000 per chicken dinner. Like, they would be swimming in gold right now.
That's unreal.
It would Scrooge McDuck right now. They'll be having an absolute blast. But yeah, Gladiators right behind. Well, right behind. They're behind by a significant amount. It seems 71 point behind actually. Yeah.
I mean,
MADBULLS.
all of that is exciting, all of that is well and said and all good and stuff like that, but the cool thing about it for teams like Gladiators, Titans, Major Pride, MUERTE, all of these teams, is that things effectively reset kinda going into that finals, right? You've got your bonus points or whatever, but it's not insurmountable to actually catch up with. And then EU champs, it's all truly reset again, but then the lobby is extremely heavy because of the fact that you've got those top teams coming in from Turkey as well. So there's good opportunities despite MADBULLS looking unbelievable right now, Max.
Yeah, even the bonus points is going to be for the few top teams is going to be about single digits. It's not going to be double-digit leads. It's going to be single digits. So one singular good game, you're back in the race at the top against your MADBULLS. So it shouldn't be too hard to overtake it. Though we are seeing Dagestan climbing up currently on that top page of the overall rankings of this entire tournament. If you combine all 3 phases together, as you go down, yeah, KONINA Power have slipped off though. They were on that top page, I believe, at the start of the phase, and now they are slowly falling down. Which is a scary prospect because that means that if you would make that kind of result in Championship, KONINA Power would not qualify. And I don't know if you'd agree or not, but I would expect KONINA Power to qualify by default in Championship with what they've been able to showcase in phase 1, phase 2. But it's really struggle bus to be able to perform when it's, again, so top heavy, it seems.
Yeah, it's been a slippy slope. I mean, obviously, I think their limb points are not too bad, but placement-wise, it's not been able to back it up too much. Likewise for SPG and VIRTUS.PRO, right? Like, these 2 teams arguably should be challenging for those top spots, but right now just kind of on the cusp, on the bubble, to try and really get things going. So
is it just it feels insane to me that we played 58 matches. That's an insane. It's just, I don't know, you two, for me it's a lot.
Yeah, that's quite a lot of matches. Yeah.
There you go. That was the point.
That's how we do it. That's it, Max.
Hey.
That's the season. All right. Well, let's take a look at our predictions here throughout, I guess, the phase so far. As Blinkety Blankers, with his nest-like hair, is in first place here, Max.
Oh, blasting out of control. Oh, yeah. You got up actually really well today. You got, what was your predictions like?
I got like 10 points today.
You got 3 chicken dinner predictions and the Gladiator top 3. So you've been on fire. I've been a basic boy. I picked up MADBULLS, Gladiators, and I failed picking them. So I deserve the L today. That's fair enough.
And Jackie like a prehistoric crustacean with 4 points. At the bottom of the ocean, Max. Rough times.
Yeah, tough times. Just like Sheaf in the water at the end. That was actually... it was Jackie swimming out in the blue, but yeah, tough time, but you know he's having fun doing his predictions and he's going for original picks, and I will never fault him for that. So good on you, Jackie.
I like that. I like that a lot. All right, well, thank you very much, Max, for joining me here. Thank you very much to the boys for all the commentary here. And thank you to Monster for joining us here for the PMPL EU Fall. That's right, Max. We're doing the swirly head thing. It's time. We're done here for day number 2 of phase 3. Tomorrow we're back, same time, same place, for more PMPL EU Fall action. So we'll see you then. Bye-bye for now.